I've been vegan. I've been healthy. We can reach a very high level. I just don't think that we can reach the creme de la creme. It is inductive.
So it could be wrong.
Yes, we could be wrong and this roof would come crashing upon us and kill both of us right now.
Even though you could be 96% safe, that 4% justifies what we do to animals.
Yes, to some people it does. To some people like yourself, it does not.
But it's wrong is what I'm saying.
Why?
We are treating others the way we don't want ourselves to be treated. It's hypocrisy.
Look up the Izzard fallacy. You've committed that many times and I'm stating that respectfully.
This fallacy before I have not encountered it, nor has anybody put it forward to me. But if you point out my points to be wrong and you can prove them to be wrong, I will agree to them being wrong.
Interested in going vegan? Watch Arvind's full guide to being vegan in India.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Face to Face with Arvind, and today's guest is Mr. Aman Duggal. Welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you so much.
So how are you doing?
Very well. What about you?
I'm pretty tired, to be honest, because I don't know if you know this, for the past 50 days, I've been working on this project to make this happen, talking to like dozens of people. So I'm doing good, excited, but tired nonetheless. Yeah, I will have to say I'm tired.
Oh, we're in the same boat because I've been enjoying Mumbai over the last couple of days. So a little sleep deprived, so that's absolutely
fair
fine.
Enough. We're in the same boat then. Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
So I want to start this off with actually quite an interesting story. So I became a vegan in 2014. And back then, I did not have social media, Facebook or anything. I didn't even have WhatsApp on my phone. Eventually, I joined Facebook like a year later. And around 2015 end to 2016, I saw an article on the internet. It was spreading around there's a page, I think, called Vegans of India.
Vegan First, I believe.
That's those are the publishers of the article.
Yes.
But the Facebook page group called Vegans of India shared that there.
Yes.
And in that, there was a picture of a guy who was wearing blue shorts, I believe a turban.
Yes.
Yes. Doing a pose like this, showing his muscles in the back. And then another picture of him where he was on this parallel bars doing dips.
Yes.
And it was mentioned, I think your name, Aman, was mentioned there. And like vegan bodybuilder gives advice that vegans can also build muscle and all this stuff. And the moment I saw it, like back then, that was like when I initially became vegan, you know how vegans were in the initial times. Like we get so angry and frustrated in communicating with people. So everyone is saying, oh, vegans are weak. Vegans can't do this. So I remember taking that link and firing it at that time in all the WhatsApp groups, office WhatsApp, hey, check this. Vegans can build muscle. Oh, can you lift like this guy? Think of this. So that's how I first came to know about you like 10 years ago. That's what I remember about you. Then I made this challenge on August 2nd, saying to the public that, hey, I'm challenging anyone out there who wants to come and challenge me on the philosophy of veganism. We can talk about it. We can talk about plant-based nutrition and anything you want. And I challenged multiple big personalities in the social media channels, and very few came up to take it. And then there was a comment from a person called Doc Duggal. Said, hey, Arvind, I would like to come on this. Like, you're the first person to say that I want to be on the show. And then I went and saw, who is this Doc Duggal guy? And I'm like, wait a second. And that's why I messaged you. Aren't you the vegan? And you said, no, I am no longer vegan. So I first want to hear your story. Like that's how I came to know about you.
Right.
From the past, like 10 years ago. And then, so what happened? I just want to hear about you. Like, how did you become vegan? You stopped. Like, I just want to know like your story first of all.
Right. So I became vegan around 2012. And I think I came across one of those slaughterhouse videos. And I had a pet dog around then. He's no longer alive.
Okay.
But I obviously loved my pet dog very much. And I thought about how I would feel if something like that were to happen to my pet. And then there was this cognitive dissonance which kicked in. Because I thought to myself, wait, this is my pet dog. And these are animals which are very similar to my pet dog. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to my pet dog. Why am I comfortable having bad things happen to these animals?
Yeah.
And then that kick-started this journey of me trying to find arguments against veganism because I loved my meat.
Right.
And I couldn't find any.
Same here, exactly.
And I couldn't find any. And then I realized that the ethical case for veganism is very, very strong.
Right.
And I pride myself on being a logical person. As soon as I realized that there's no good argument to support killing animals for food, I just stopped.
Right.
And I was also very motivated. I was also very angered by the fact that I missed something as obvious as this, number one. And number two, early vegan days, so you're very angry at other people also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was very motivated. In fact, I think some of the best gains I've made was when I started my vegan journey.
So wait, were you working out before you became vegan, or
Yes, I was.
you still were into working out?
Yes, I
always?
was, I think, 2 years into working out.
Okay.
And then I became vegan, and then I became even more motivated because I had a point to prove.
Right.
And around that time, the scientific community didn't have a lot of respect for vegan diets. It was kind of frowned upon and almost ridiculed. And I made it a mission to show people scientifically, logically, as well as socially, social proof, that vegans can do just as well as non-vegans.
Right.
And I, at that time, was known for my scientific work, so I published a paper.
You have?
Yes,
So wait, what's your background exactly?
I have a BTech in instrumentation and control.
Okay.
So I'm an engineer.
Engineer, okay.
Yes. But like most engineers, I decided to foray into something else.
Okay.
And around the second year, I realized that I have an interest for nutrition.
Okay.
So I broke the news to my parents. I told them, listen, I'll finish engineering. You want your son to be an engineer. I'll do that. But I would like to study nutrition and practice as a nutritionist.
Okay.
So I completed my engineering. I studied nutrition. I started posting on Facebook, made a little name for myself. And through making a name for myself, I also made an impression on academia in nutrition space. I realized that in order for me to make an impression on people, I'm going to have to make some publications, make a little noise, because I don't have a formal background in nutrition. I to this very day do not.
Oh, wait. So can I call you a nutritionist?
Well, you can. I'm a professor of nutrition and exercise. I run a college now which teaches other aspiring
And you are
professions.
qualified properly to be called that. You are qualified to be a professor.
Not formally.
Not formally.
Yeah, that's the interesting part of our industry. We don't need to be formally qualified to practice as nutritionists and exercise specialists.
But then based on what do you make that like?
No, well, there are these certification programs. I have these certification programs too, but it's not as formal
By whom?
as...
Who are you certified by, if I could ask?
So I have a full scholarship by SBS Academy in London. It's no longer active,
Okay.
but I was the first and at that time the only scholarship student.
Okay.
And I haven't paid any money for pursuing my nutrition and exercise education. I was granted that after I published my review article on veganism because people were very impressed by my work.
Okay.
So my professors granted me that scholarship. It was a decent course, but because our industry is so broken in an academic sense, I mean, someone like me can sit here and say that I'm qualified because I have a certificate. I do not consider that qualification.
Okay.
Because I've gone through a 4-year undergrad degree to call myself a bachelor's
Right.
in engineering.
Engineering, yeah.
I mean, that's something, right? That's a formal
yes.
process. We don't have something as rigorous in nutrition and exercise. We do have university programs, but most of us do not pursue university
I'm
programs.
not too knowledgeable on this, but then how do we, like, for example, those who study MBBS become doctors, then they can
Yes.
obviously go into which field they want to put their
Yes.
expertise in. But when it comes to diet and nutrition, I believe there are people who can call themselves as nutritionists. And
Yes.
What
And
do they study to get that degree?
Well, you don't have to study. You just need a certificate. And honestly, that certificate...
Really? This is not something that is...
It's not protected by the government.
A nutritionist or not?
No. The term dietitian is. So in order for you to become a registered dietitian, you have to go to college, study, get your degree. But the term nutritionist is something you can call yourself a nutritionist today. You know enough about vegan nutrition. You can be like, yeah, I'm a nutritionist.
Oh, damn. I did not know that the term was that loose.
Exactly. So the barrier of entry in our space is very, very low, which is what I took advantage of because I realized, okay, fine, I'll do my engineering. I don't need to go to college to study this. I have a natural passion and interest. I'll study it and I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'll put information out there. And the reason I'm so active in debate spaces is because I know my conscience kind of feels like I need to prove to people that I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And I don't even have a lot of respect for formal education in this space because most people who are intellectually aligned, academically aligned, they don't really pick nutrition and exercise as their first career choice.
You mean because they don't make it elsewhere, they decide to go?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, think about it. No, we are from India. Our parents want us to become engineers, doctors, architects, lawyers. And then we eventually realize, okay, fine, this is not something you want to do, or this is not working out for us. So fine, we'll do something like this, which is easier.
Yeah.
So the barrier of entry is low, which is why the information is so broken, which is why there's so much conflicting information here. And I thought to myself, fine, I'll take advantage of it and I'll foray into the fitness industry as well.
Okay. So when it comes to fitness, you called yourself as what do I call you as? A
You
personal?
can call me a professor of nutrition and exercise because I have a college now and I teach aspiring professionals how to make a career in the fitness industry.
Okay. So I cannot call you a dietitian.
No,
I
you
cannot
cannot.
call you a personal trainer.
You can call me a personal trainer because
Okay.
I have a certification.
You have a certification for that.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I can call you a personal trainer, but not a dietitian though. You are
Not a diet.
professor of nutrition
And exercise.
and exercise. Okay, fair enough. So, okay, you became vegan initially after seeing the slaughterhouse videos, but then right now you're not a vegan. So
Yes.
what transpired in between?
So around the pandemic, I became a little unwell.
Oh.
Not physically, but mentally. That is when we were all locked up.
Yes.
The gym was my one little outlet where I would express myself physically.
Okay.
Also play football. That got taken away. And then I started seeing symptoms of depression and anxiety. In fact, I was diagnosed with...
Like you're properly clinically diagnosed by
Yes,
a
yes.
psychologist that you have depression.
Yes, by a
Were
psychiatrist.
you on medications?
Yes, I was on
Holy
medication.
crap, okay.
Yes. So I was on a lot of medications. I was on an SSRI, an SNRI. I was on a benzodiazepine for my anxiety too because I was very, very anxious. In fact, I couldn't, like something like this, what we're doing right now. This would require me to use a benzodiazepine just to speak to you for 15 minutes. Then I had to pop another one to speak to you for another 15 minutes.
Whoa, okay. Else, what are the symptoms? If you can just talk about this, if you're comfortable, like what
Yes,
were
of
the
course.
symptoms like you were facing? Like in
So the diagnosis of depression isn't something wherein you measure physical vitals. You are just asked, okay, how are you feeling? So if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're feeling chronically sad for longer than 7 days, if you lost motivation, enthusiasm for things you enjoy, and you check for another 2-3 symptoms out of 10, then you are diagnosed with depression.
Okay, crazy question. You never used to take recreational drugs or alcohol or anything?
I do this very day. I've never touched a recreational substance.
Okay, fair enough. Because the reason I asked that is because some people, when they give up that, because when that was cut off during COVID, right, they too experience such, what you said, they'll experience bouts of sadness.
My drug was football and the gym.
Okay.
So losing that was difficult.
Would you consider yourself as an extrovert? Would you call yourself that?
Naturally, I'm introverted, but I had to learn how to become extroverted because now I'm a teacher.
So I guess you just enjoyed the grind in the gym and passionately playing football. And that's what you missed, and that led to your...
Yes, we all need social stimulus,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And the only time I'd step outside the house was to go to the gym or go to play football.
The reason I asked that is because I'm an introvert, and for an introvert, I don't know if people believe this, like I go around giving lectures and talks with, I am the biggest introvert you'll ever meet. Like, for me, the lockdown was paradise. I didn't have to go anywhere. I can be at home, but I guess others had issues like this. Okay, so then you fell into depression, you were diagnosed, you were on pills, and then so that affected you being vegan? Like,
So I wanted to do some reading on this because I really wanted to become better. I don't know if you've ever been depressed, but
I don't, touch wood, I haven't.
touch wood, I hope it never happens too. But you're very desperate when you're depressed.
Of course, yeah.
To the extent that you want to become better. It's a bit and you feel like you just can't come out of it. I started the medication, but the medication just numbed me. It didn't do much. I was obviously enjoying the benzodiazepines because they take you from peak anxiety to feeling great for a small period of time.
Okay.
Temporarily.
Like, does it make the brain secrete some kind of chemical? Like, is that how it works?
Not really. It just calms you down. Like you just feel like, oh, I can speak to people now and I can feel normal for some time.
Okay. I guess
So for me, that was about a half an hour to 1 hour window.
Okay.
But I knew that is something I didn't want to do. Benzodiazepines can be addicting. So you have to be careful.
Okay.
And the rest of the medication, the SNRIs and SSRIs weren't doing much. So I knew I had to step outside the house. And I started reflecting on my diet too. And at that time, there were a couple of papers which showed that there is a correlation between vegan diets and symptoms of depression and anxiety.
Okay.
It wasn't very well established. It was a correlation which they demonstrated.
Okay.
So that made me dwell. And I thought to myself, let me introduce some animal products and see how I feel. So I started introducing eggs first. And I can't say that the eggs made me better because that would be unfair because I was also doing a lot of other things.
Right.
But that then led me down this rabbit hole to ponder if there are compounds present in animal products which we may not have discovered, which may be beneficial for human health. I got better. I'm absolutely fine today. I know how to become depressed. So I make sure that I take very good care of myself so that that doesn't happen again.
Right.
But now I'm of the opinion that vegan diets cannot optimize for health. And we will come to that.
Okay. So that was a conscious decision you made to eat eggs. Like that was you were aware of what you were doing and you decided to do that, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I have a friend who was also a vegan. He experienced what he said pretty much the exact symptoms like you said during COVID lockdown. And he told me that he had been vegan then for around like 3 years. And something snapped in him. He told, I just opened the fridge, there was a tub of curd. I just took it and just like wafted it down my mouth. And for some reason after eating it, I just felt better. I just felt clarity. I just felt good. But then obviously there were various other factors like some family issues he was facing, not to mention like a lot of internal family issues he had, and he had also become overweight due to drinking and stuff. And then he did clean up all his other issues, and also COVID lockdowns ended, and now he's back to being a vegan.
Right.
So that was not a conscious decision he made. He told he was literally not in his senses when he did that. Like he just, at that point, like, I just want to escape. I just want to get out of this madness. That's what he explained it as. So right now you're saying you are of the opinion that a well-planned plant-based diet will not be ideal for human well-being in the long run.
Yes, we may not be able to optimize for human well-being.
We may not be able to optimize.
Yes.
Now, you are saying that there may be some kind of potential nutrients that are yet undiscovered in animal products that could be
contributing factors.
Right. Again, this is a hypothesis you have.
Hypothesis is one way of stating it. I think I'm reasonably confident now.
But is there any kind of evidence you have to?
Well, we still continue to discover nutrients in animal tissues.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
In the sense that as of now, we have discovered all the different kinds of vitamins. Like I'm not exactly sure at which this is your field, so you'll know better than me.
Yes.
Like I believe latest one we discovered was vitamin K2 or something. Is that the latest vitamin we discovered?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that was back in the 90s or the early 2000s? When was that?
In the 90s.
In the 90s. And after that, we pretty much haven't discovered any other vitamin per se.
Right.
But,
vitamins and minerals are one category of nutrients. We also have another subcategory.
The macro category.
The macros are fine. We can get the macros from vegan food. But we also have zoonutrients. We got something like creatine. Okay, now that has been discovered, so we can supplement with it.
Yes.
Very recently, in 2023, we discovered this compound called TVA, Trans-vaccenic acid, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
We can look it up. It's called TVA. It's a long-chain fatty acid. And that was found in lamb and beef. And it has a very strong immune response against cancer and tumor growth. So that was very recent in 2023. In 2011, we established a deficiency, a legitimate creatine deficiency in vegetarians to the extent that they took vegetarians and then they took omnivores and they administered both with creatine. The omnivores did not see any benefits on cognitive performance. But the vegetarians did, which highlights a legitimate deficiency. Now, we know how to supplement with creatine because we discovered creatine.
Correct.
But likewise, we may not know the other undiscovered nutrients, which we may be deficient in.
True. When was creatine discovered, by the way?
1862.
Why? That's well over 100 and something years ago.
However, it wasn't until the 1990s that we were able to develop a supplement.
Okay.
So
synthetically manufactured.
Close to 160-year gap. And that is something worth thinking about. Because if we discover something, it still doesn't mean that we can immediately supplement with it.
No, that's true. We have to find methods to synthetically or whichever way manufacture their supplement. But my query would be this then. What I wanted to ask you was, when it comes to creatine, even if someone is a meat eater, correct me if I'm wrong on this, they would have to eat absurd amounts of meat in order to meet the RDI for creatine. Am I right or wrong on that?
In order to optimize for muscular health, yes, they're going to have a lot of meat to reach complete saturation. But that's not true for optimizing cognitive performance because like I told you about the study.
So what do we measure creatine in? Grams or milligram, micrograms? Like what is it?
Grams.
Grams. And how much grams of creatine would be necessary for, say, one is for muscle building. I don't know how much exactly they need, how many grams would that be?
The creatine literature is a little all over the place at the moment. Because
I've heard, I can see this thing. This is your foray. I am not an expert on nutrition, vegan philosophy, that's my field. But nutrition, I am knowledgeable enough when it comes to, say, if you say, how do we get this nutrient on a vegan diet, and if it's essential, I will know where we can get that from. That's where my knowledge on nutrition obviously ends. But when you mention right now creatine for someone, say, who wants to optimize their muscle growth versus someone who just wants to be a normal, healthy human being, what is the difference when it comes to measurement of both is my question.
Yeah, so up until, I think, 2020, the standard recommendation was 3 to 5 grams of supplemental creatine monohydrate. That was enough to saturate creatine stores to the extent that you can maximize muscular performance. You also get the cognitive benefits. But it seems like to start getting the cognitive benefits and not be deficient in creatine, that is a much smaller amount. We don't know what the exact amount is, but we know that vegetarians have lower plasma levels of creatine compared to meat eaters.
Even vegans, obviously, because we don't eat animals, so obviously we don't get that from meat.
Which then does extend to compromised cognitive performance.
Do you think it is fair to make a blanket statement that if we by compromise cognitive performance, like, could you give some real life examples? Like, if someone were to take creatine, like, this is the proper output we can expect, or if someone were to not take creatine, this is what we can expect.
We've got data on this. We've got a study.
I'm sure you'll have probably randomized control trials that show that those who do take creatine, like, we take two groups and we find that if we're supplementing them, this one with creatine, this one with the placebo, the one that takes creatine shows improved performance in certain ways, that you can show. But what I wanted to ask is that, like, do we have data that shows, like, people are not supplementing creatine, therefore for sure these people will end up with some kind of cognitive... Yes.
That's the study I just spoke to you about.
Okay.
That they administered creatine to vegetarians and they administered creatine to omnivores. The vegetarians saw improvements in cognitive markers. The omnivores did not see those improvements, which highlights a legitimate
What are the cognitive markers, if I may understand?
Improved memory and focus, if I remember correctly. I do have the study at hand with me, so I can share it with you.
Okay. So that is one thing. We do have creatine, obviously monohydrate right now that can be synthetically prepared for vegans, that exists. But you're basically postulating the fact that, or the idea that, I must say, maybe there are more undiscovered nutrients found in animal foods that lead to an overall better health for a human being.
Yes, there's a very strong likelihood that there are undiscovered nutrients because we continue to discover these new nutrients.
Okay, what do you think then about studies like, of course, I can bring out the name of a few, but again, it's actually, this is not my field exactly, that do show, like, we have like the highest tier of studies, like, what's it called? I'm thinking meta-analysis. Meta-analysis that show that a well-planned plant-based diet over the long run is good for human health. Like, it's very much, it can optimize. Like,
undoubtedly, it is good for human health, but compared to what? Poorly planned omnivore diets. Most people who are omnivores, who eat a lot of meat and stuff themselves with meat, they are deficient in fiber, vitamin C, folate, and a lot of other
phytochemicals.
Phytochemicals, which are just as important. So we need to see these studies to truly determine whether vegans do better. And us vegans are very motivated to do better. People who are vegetarian and vegans, they tend to have better health habits in general. They tend to exercise. Incidences of smoking are less. So we'll have to see the study in order for me to definitively comment on it. But I agree. I've been vegan. I've been healthy. I've made fantastic gains on a vegan diet. I just don't think we can state that we can optimize for health and performance on a vegan diet. We can reach a very high level through the modulation of foods and adequate supplementation. But we cannot reach the creme de la creme of nutritional adequacy.
I'm glad you stated it like that perfectly. So let's now divide this into two different groups. Let's talk one about optimal health, and then we'll come to those who want to optimize themselves for, say, muscle gain or sports performances later. Because both, I guess, are quite different nutritional needs. The one who want to optimize for muscle growth need far more stringent rules and far more nutrients than just, say, someone like myself who doesn't necessarily work out. At least these days I'm trying to work out to be healthy, for necessarily putting on muscle mass, but rather just trying to be fit and active. Would that be a fair statement?
I'd contest that. It depends on how unhealthy you are, because if you're physically active, then you're getting the benefits of exercise. So you may have a little wiggle room as far as your nutrition is concerned.
No, my point was that, say, for example, if I came to you right now and told that I want to be an Olympic weightlifter and I want to be a vegan and do it, what you would suggest to me would be different from when I came to you and told, listen, bro, I'm just a normal guy, a regular dude. When I grow old, I don't want back pain. I don't want knee pain. I don't want heart disease. I don't want type 2 diabetes. I just want to be the dude who can do his work and not have the diseases. Surely my diet and exercise routine would be different from the Arvind who wants to be an Olympic weightlifter.
Perhaps as far as quantities are concerned, but I know the Olympic weightlifter because he's exercising and because he's getting the magnificent benefits of exercise. He can afford to be a little loose with his nutrition. You've seen how athletes eat. They can be very...
they burn extra calories. But no, my point was not about being loose with nutrition. Maybe because he can get away because he's already doing things that are already positive habits he's doing. But my point was more like, say, the Olympic weightlifter Arvind would probably need 180 grams of protein per day. I am right now 85 kilograms. So how much do I need? 85, 90? Just half, right? I just need half the amount of protein. In that regard, I'm talking about.
Yeah, in that regard, fine. For protein, I agree.
No,
but for other nutrients, depending on how physically active you are, I may say something along the lines of, okay, Arvind, you're not as physically active as the Olympic weightlifter.
Of course, yeah.
So we need to double down on your efforts in nutrition because you're not getting the benefits from a lot of exercise that an Olympic weightlifter is getting. So we may need to optimize more for nutrition for someone like you. This happens to me all the time. The sedentary person that comes to me, I tell them, listen, you don't have a lot of time to exercise. You haven't been exercising for a long time.
3 days a week I can spare,
This is your best bet. So you might as well go all in and be as militant with your diet as possible because you need your diet more than you need your training because the training just isn't there.
Yeah, I get that part. But again, I guess I'll try to phrase it, in a more clear manner. My point was that the average Joe, if I can put it that way, who just again, you are speaking in scientific terms, I'm speaking more in casual terms. The average Joe who wants to be, simple thing, when I grow old, I don't want to be in a nursing home. I don't want someone to change my diapers. I just don't want to get heart surgery. I don't want to get type 2 diabetes. I want to be there for my family. Yeah. That guy versus the Olympic weightlifter. Surely you cannot say that the average Joe needs... For just being the average guy, just living through life, the Olympic weightlifter has to optimize from training to nutrition to sleep to everything perfectly. But I don't, right? Like, why would be in the same category?
Well, it depends on how inactive you are. Because we underestimate how physically inactive we are.
Okay, then let's put some numbers here. Then.
Yeah.
Say I can spare only 3 hours a week to work out. Okay?
Right.
And even today morning, by the way, there was a gym in the hotel. I didn't have much time. All I did was I just did cardio for 20 minutes on the treadmill, went to the lat pull-down machine, 4 sets, bench press. Again, don't judge my strength, guys. I'm just starting out. I just took 18 kgs in both hands.
That's great.
I did 4 sets. Then squats, I put 10 kgs. The bar, I think, is like 20 kgs, 10 kgs, and 40 kgs. I did 4 sets.
Right.
And why? Just to break a sweat, just to get the blood pumping and moving through the body.
Right.
And by the time I'm done, I am like, and that's what I wanted. And then I feel clearer. I feel better. I go back up. I had a protein shake that is made from pea protein isolate. I had a protein shake. I then had some bananas. I had some oatmeal.
Right.
And like basically, I know I'm trying to manage in the hotel room as well I can. So this guy, so this kind of, at the moment, this is the best I can do. So surely this is not the same you'd expect from Arvind, the Olympic weightlifter.
Of course. I would say, Arvind, the Olympic weightlifter, you need to eat more. And of course, you need to optimize for performance and health too. Way more.
Okay.
But at least you have a little wiggle room because you're getting so much in the way of exercise. So in the event that you get a little sloppy with your diet over the weekend, I'd still be upset at you. But I know you can get away with it. You cannot. People who are sedentary and physically inactive, who are, let's say, I'm not talking about you, by the way.
No, you can use me as an example. I don't mind.
Not at all. I'm just saying, in general, the average Joe today, the wheels are in motion for disease.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So we, as a professional, I need to give him the best prescription possible. And as a professional, I cannot afford him to have any blind spots in his diet. So a lot of times, I'm actually a little more lenient with my athletes because I know they're getting so many benefits from the exercise. And because they'll be stuffing their face, they'll get their nutrition. Because the more you eat, the more nourishment you get. But this fellow who's going to be eating a little less and isn't very healthy, he needs to put in just as much effort or maybe more effort into his nutrition. So it really depends. But yeah, we can go ahead with your example.
Fine.
That's fine.
I agree, maybe more effort is needed. What I meant was that more quantity of nutrients.
Quantity, yes.
Okay, but I'm just trying to think quantity. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So let me talk about the average Joe right now. Let's take 2 people again. One is Arvind the vegan, and one, we have a clone of me right now who is going to follow the omnivorous diet, I believe, that you are promoting right now.
Yes.
Okay, that's 2. would it be possible to quantify how higher you have an opinion that the omnivorous Arvind would have in terms of health and well-being in optimizing as compared to the vegan one? Can you quantify it in numbers like 5%? It's not possible to quantify.
It's not. See, I cannot quantify this.
Okay.
And the reason for that is we don't need to know how much of a benefit we will be getting from an omnivore diet to know that we shouldn't be consuming zero animal products. Okay, it's like I don't need to know how much protein I need to eat exactly to know that eating zero protein isn't good for me.
That is true, but you went from some to zero, and that was a quantifying number you gave right now.
But I just said some.
But fine, if you could put a number on the sum then.
So based on the track record, I would say maybe about, we can take the Okinawans, for example.
Blue zones, yeah.
Yeah. The highest life expectancy.
Isn't that the people from Costa Rica or something? So
The Okinawans.
Okay, are they the highest ones
Yes,
in the blue
yes.
zones? I thought it was the guy from, wait, there are 5 places, right? Italy, Mexico, right?
I'm more familiar with the
Japanese?
Okinawans, yeah.
Oh, there are more people actually. The blue zones,
there are.
Seventh-day Adventists,
Yeah,
fine. Okinawans, yeah, about them.
We can verify just in case we got new data. This was from a while ago when I checked. But they ate anywhere between, I believe, 30 to 90 grams of meat a day. So we do know that 30 to 90 grams of meat, at least, I won't say predicts for the highest life expectancy, but that's what we've observed. So maybe that's a decent place to perhaps begin.
Well, sure, fair enough. How much, what kind of meat, first of all? Fish?
Fish, ideally.
Pork, I believe. The Japanese eat like a small bit of pork and soy sauce.
Fish has the best data as far as health efficacy is concerned.
Because it is lower in saturated fat and has omega-3, so obviously the heart protection is, am I right?
Yes, but there are also benefits which have controlled for omega-3 levels. And we are not entirely sure whether those benefits come from the omega-3s or from some other compound from fish.
So on what? So we just at the moment know that consuming fish gives this health outcome, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And we are not able to at the moment with the scientific literature, again, this is not again playing my foray, so I'm just going with what you say. Okay. Based on the scientific literature at the moment, we're not able to tell what in the fish is causing the positive benefits. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. We are not absolutely sure.
But if we were to do a breakdown with the current data that we do have on here, nutrition and stuff, we will know that the fish obviously contains of macronutrients, micronutrients, and we know iodine is present in the fish. Omega-3s is the most, you can say, exclusive to fish because you don't necessarily find that in any other kind of animal products.
Right.
With that being the case, the Okinawan, by consuming 30 to 70 grams of meat per day, how much better are they? Again, without a quantifying number, it's difficult for me also to ascertain or make any kind of statement. I can't.
Right.
So let's say we now take the most ideal vegan. In fact, I can just show you something. Just give me a sec.
Sure.
Yeah, so being the kind of vegan that I am, I do make sure I do this. So
Very
what
good.
you will find is that
I can see the well-being nutrition. That's the well-being nutrition.
well, the omega-3 you mean?
Yeah. Is it? No, it isn't.
That is, I think, wait, I have the bottle right here actually.
Okay. I thought that was well-being because I could recognize it. You can.
It says Swiss Life, plant-based vegan omega-3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And no promotion for well-being.
Oh,
You can just get that out.
Yeah, sure. We're not promoting any brand, but we're not speaking against any brand, just speaking about science and facts.
Yeah.
So my point is this. As a vegan, I do recognize the fact that B12 is something I cannot get. So I do consume 1,500 micrograms of that at least 3 times a week.
Fantastic.
Vitamin D every single day I take in because else I'm going to get deficient. And omega-3, at the moment, I'm taking it like thrice a week. Like, I don't know. I'm not exactly too picky on that because I don't know what the data says, but I'm sure I have to supplement because I know that, is it true if I say the statement that supplementing with omega-3 might prevent dementia and Alzheimer's from happening?
Might, no, most certainly will prevent.
That's why I'm taking this.
Yes.
This is serious because the last thing I want is I can see the elders in my family, and let's just say that our Indians, unfortunately, are very rigid in what we eat. And even when presented with factual information that shows to us that we can improve our health by just making a few minor tweaks,
Right.
they just don't. So I don't want to end up like that. So that's why I'm prioritizing the stuff. So again, getting back to the numbers with the Okinawans, is that 70, let's say 100 grams of fish a day. that 100 grams of fish a day is going to give them what edge over me? I have to understand that point. I want to first grant the statement saying that let's go with what you're saying is true. Let's say that is a superior one. The omnivorous human being is a superior diet than compared to the most optimized plant-based diet. Let's say that, let's give that the case. With that even being the case, I still would like to the number. Like if you say right now, like, hey man, you might be at like a 2% or a 3% more risk when it comes to optimization. I'm not the creme de la creme. I'm like, fair enough. But then that goes back to the point you made. If I had to harm another animal who suffers just like my dog just to get that 3%?
Yeah.
Why? Like if I were told that suddenly, there are many of these conspiracy theories that come up that say that there are some people who eat other people, take the blood of children and they insert it in their bodies. Have you heard these kind of conspiracy theories? You have? Yeah. Okay. So let's say tomorrow there was a market for that. And by doing that, I could prolong my health and well-being and stuff. I'm like, hell no. Because at one point, yes, I do want to take care of my health and well-being. And of course, when you said you've gone through depression, I empathize with you and I don't want to ever try to put that down. Your suffering is not being put down. But at what point do we say enough? At what point do I say my well-being and health is so important that I'm willing to literally be merciless to those other beings around me who just are not as smart as me, just to optimize it to that degree? That's why I want to know the degree of optimization, because without knowing the exact number, it's hard for me to...
Well, you take something like trans-vaccenic acid and its ability to have a strong immune response against cancer and tumor. For some people, that would be a very good reason to continue consuming meat.
Okay. So, but then again, I'm not to... You quote me whether I'm right or wrong on this, let me know. We do have research showing that consumption of high antioxidant plant foods can also have a positive effect. Like, for example, foods like blueberries, amla, pomegranate, green leafy vegetables.
Yes.
All of these are high antioxidant foods, and these two could also have a positive effect when it comes to my ability to fight cancer.
Via a different mechanism.
By a different mechanism, but high fiber diets could help prevent colon cancer, stuff like that.
Yes.
So I am not going to deny the facts you put forward, accepting them because facts are facts. But then my argument will be, fight that another way. Like if you, like let's say for example, you say to me, Arvind, if you don't consume this particular animal-based food right now, you are going to die young and suffering and leave your family behind. Now I'm in a pickle. Okay, I'll be honest, the vegan activist is openly saying he's in a pickle because that's life or death.
Yes.
And even right now, we vegans take medication.
Yes.
And medication is tested on animals. So we already are doing that. So even if you put forward a situation to me right now saying that, Arvind, what would you do if you were on a life or death situation where you had to consume meat, dairy and eggs in order that is maybe even like a minute quantity or whatever, just in order to pull through and be better, you got me stumped. I will, at the moment right now when I'm not suffering, be like, I don't know, Aman, maybe I'll think about it, I don't know.
Yes.
But at the moment when I am suffering, I don't know what decision I'll take.
Yes.
But the point is that why not already try to optimize our diet and lifestyle in a plant-based way and just try to avoid those altogether? Because at the end of the day, as someone who has seen the videos, someone who has been a vegan and understand what's happening, the violence is unbelievable. The torture is, you've seen the videos, it's unreal. Like when I first, there's a documentary called Earthlings. Have you seen that?
Yes.
When I first saw Earthlings, as a grown-ass man, I was bawling my eyes out and screaming at the screen when I saw a person grabbing an animal by the hind legs and slamming them on the bottom, on a concrete floor. So maybe by doing that, there is some kind of benefit to me. Let's not deny that. I don't want that benefit. And as human beings who are technologically advanced, let's do our research and try to, like how we found a way for creatine, let's do our way and try to find a way apart from that. So if we say something like a 3% or even a 5% better for the average Joe being an omnivore following Aman's diet versus me following your version of a plant-based diet, I still say we should pick the plant-based diet solely out of ethics.
That is fine, Arvind. And those are your personal ethics and those are your personal moral values. And we all have to subjectively decide what our moral line is for everything. Someone else may say that, Arvind, I respect your ethical views. I will say I respect your ethical views. It's great. It's fantastic. It's noble. But I want to optimize for my health and performance. And I will try my best to consume as less as I possibly can it doesn't mean like just because you can optimize for health via consuming animals, it doesn't mean anything goes and you consume them in as much quantity as possible. But I value my personal health and well-being over the suffering of animals. Someone may put forth that argument. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, it is fair enough for someone to say that they value their own. Of course, if they are, like I said, if I am suffering, if I am right now, like if I told you, if I am suffering life or death, and that's when you're
even if someone isn't suffering, even if someone just wants to achieve the creme de la creme of performance and health, and they value their performance and health over the suffering of animals.
I want to divide that between health and performance. Performance is optional in life. We don't need that necessarily for well-being.
I'm not too sure about that.
So by performance, are you now talking again about the average Joe trying to get healthier, or are you talking about someone being an Olympic athlete? There's a difference here.
Let's take something as simple as cognitive performance and even physical performance. If I am performing better cognitively, I can work things out faster in life. I can do better in life, financially better too. I'll have a thriving career as a result of optimizing for my cognitive performance. If I'm doing well physically, in the event that there is a threat to my life, and in life and that situations, the small metrics matter. Those performance metrics will perhaps save me in a life and that situation.
That is true. I agree. But let's now put forth hypotheticals, because, obviously when we try to talk about ethics and morality and philosophy, to find out if something is true or false, we take that statement and then put them into other scenarios. And then we see whether it holds true or not. Because just like if someone's making a statement like Newton came forward and said, hey, this is the laws of motion, others were not like, yeah, we just believe you, bro. They were like, we'll take that equation, put it in a better matchup in every single equation we use it.
Yes.
If not, you better have an explanation for the reason why it's an exception, or it's a flawed equation.
True.
So someone is saying right now that they want to optimize their health and well-being, and they want to put that ahead of, say, the suffering of animals. First of all, if that really were the case, like I told you, which is why we vegans ourselves do take medications. I am not someone who's going to be a hypocrite and deny that. That's true. But what if it again now comes to a point where you see the statement that majorly that you made was this: you are saying that there could be nutrients that are yet undiscovered found in animal products. That is what is leading to probably an omnivorous diet being superior to a plant-based diet, right?
Yes.
Now, that is again from your side a hypothesis, or is it like is it something that you say from your own personal experiences that you have felt this, or do we have like concrete data on this?
It is scientific reasoning. It is inductive reasoning.
Run me through it.
Sure. So far, as per the track record of us discovering compounds in meat, year by year, we continue to discover new compounds and new deficiencies. Given that track record, the likelihood that we'll continue to discover new compounds and new deficiencies is very, very high. That leads me to believe that as of today, in the year 2025, we are still not at a point in our nutrition knowledge where we have discovered every possible beneficial nutrient in animal tissue, such that we get rid of that entire food group altogether.
So, and as of now, you gave me two examples of, I think, some kind of fatty acid that's found in
TVA.
In meat, and this was discovered in 2023.
Yes.
And even like in the past decade, you are stating that we have been continuously discovering nutrients.
The creatine deficiency is from 2011.
And apart from that, you mentioned two more, but there have been others as well.
There have been others. Carnosine is another one.
But are these essential nutrients, Aman?
I mean, if they're going to optimize for cognitive performance, then you could call them essential.
So how does the scientific community decide between essential and non-essential on this? Like, for example, I believe, if I'm not wrong, I do agree with the benefits when one does take creatine, because that's like been scientifically demonstrated at this point. But they also say creatine is not an essential nutrient for humans. So how do they even come to that?
That's a categorization error. Textbooks like to categorize nutrients as vitamins and minerals and other umbrellas. I like to look at each nutrient on a case-by-case basis. Okay, this is vitamin D. It's got a chemical structure. It's called a vitamin D. It's called vitamin D. But honestly, if you see the...
Cholecalciferol or something like that.
Yeah, it's a secosteroid. It's a hormone. I mean, they categorize it as a vitamin. Secosteroid, it's a hormone which is responsible for the transcription of over 1,000 different genes in the body. That's a very important vitamin or a very important compound. That's how I like to look at it.
Right, but my query...
So when I look at vitamin D, I don't look at it as any different than creatine. Vitamin D is a nutrient. We judge the data on vitamin D and decide whether we should take it or not. Same for creatine. Creatine is a separate nutrient, and it's got its performance
I get that.
benefits.
I get that. But since, again, this is not my field, like the thing is that maybe, so if I could maybe introduce you to, I have friends who are scientists within the vegan community, and maybe they would probably be able to give you a far more detailed answer or like a deciphering answer, because this is not my forte, obviously.
I'll be happy to speak to them.
Yeah. So I can definitely connect you to one guy. His name is Arvind. Arvind Venkata Subramaniam. Have you heard of him?
Okay. No.
No, you haven't heard of him. Okay, Arvind, yeah. But anyways, apart from that, my query right now is, since this is your forte, you explain to me, then we do have authorities, not that they're always right, but we do have authorities who decipher between essential and non-essential nutrients. I agree that you view them a bit differently, but then how do they come to that conclusion? And if they do come to a conclusion, surely they come to it based on many analysis and data, right?
A lot of categorizations are just arbitrary. Like in textbooks like to do that. And then it's tradition that just gets carried forward.
But right now, if we were to say, what would you assume to be a fair representation or source that dictates whether a nutrient is essential or non-essential? Like which one would you, is there any particular group?
I do not like to appeal to authority. I like to look at the data by myself and then derive conclusions independently.
Okay. So right now, however, there is no particular data. You are now again talking about the fact that we are constantly discovering about vitamin D. You said you want to look at the data. About creatine, looking at data. About the other things that you mentioned right now recently that are coming out showing that this kind of fatty acid has benefits. So is that like a randomized control trial they have done, like that you're mentioning when you said that this? Again, I keep forgetting the names. That in mutton or something you mentioned. Like
I glanced at that paper in 23. I can share it with you. I'm not sure if it's an RCT. But I'll be.
I can more than happy to let you use the laptop. And in fact, if you want, you can do one thing. If you can, by all means, when we're done talking, you can email me any study you've mentioned here. I'll make sure I put them on
all the references.
Everything. I'll make sure I put them on screen when we're putting this video out. So again, I just want to bring out a little paper here. Just give me a sec. Since we are on the subject of nutrition, mind you, my knowledge on this is quite low, but still, I think I can try to make a case for my side. So, would you agree with this picture, Aman? The quality of evidence. Again, you might laugh because again, this is not my forte, bro. I will speak from a normal guy who understands.
I'm familiar
nutrition.
with the pyramid, but
you don't necessarily agree with this, like the?
No, I do not.
You do not. So, but surely when we divide and say that there are experimental studies, let's leave the top part aside for now. When we say there are experimental studies and observational studies, surely you would agree that there is quite more value for the experimental ones than the observational ones?
It depends on what it is we can use for experimental studies and what it is we can use for observational studies. Like you take something like smoking causes cancer, you would agree. There are very few, if any, experimental studies which establish for that. We just have to rely on the observational data.
So the meta-analyses that were formed that show that smoking causes cancer.
So the metas will look at the observational data in this regard, not the experimental
Are you
studies.
sure on that? 100%? I don't know about this. Are you 100%
Think about the ethics of testing.
Wouldn't they be unfortunately testing on rats though, not humans?
But yeah, ultimately we do want to test on humans. The step-by-step process is that you first test on animals.
Yes.
And then you test on humans.
The clinical trial goes through, yeah.
The ethics for smoking is a little difficult to do a randomized control trial.
I'm not aware. That's why I'm asking you. Are you sure that it was not done?
Most of the data which establishes that smoking causes lung cancer is from observational studies.
Data. Okay. But we do have randomized data as well. Because again, I'm not sure on this, so I'm just asking you. We have both. We have observational and randomized control.
I will have to check on that.
Yeah.
But mostly, I would say 90% of the data is observational.
So from my understanding of how this pyramid works, again, please correct me if I'm wrong, we can use observational data to set up a randomized control trial, or a non-randomized one. For example, that is the whole point, right? Like we look at the cohort study, or we look at like a cross-sectional study, and you find, okay, vegans tend to be deficient in vitamin D and vitamin B12. Like we can literally see this happening pattern over the long run and in a cross-sectional area. Boom, let's set up a study and see what happens if you supplement a randomized control trial.
Right.
And at that point, the randomized control trial will be given a higher degree of value than the observational studies. Would you agree on that statement?
Yes, if it's a well-performed trial.
Fair enough, of course, without industrial funding.
Industrial funding is fine. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
But I guess you are the kind of person like who you'll read through the entire data like completely.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not that smart. I'm not that trained. I don't know. So I'm just going.
You know quite a bit, Arvind. You're doing well.
Thank you. So the thing is that again the points that you had mentioned about certain nutrients which we are now discovering again. I agree with you on saying we shouldn't entirely appeal to authority, but the same thing, smoking causes cancer, is also an appeal to authority.
Appeal to data.
When it's being said by an authority to us. Like if I am to, because the government has done a tremendous campaign and putting that on the cover of every cigarette packet, and that's because they have taken from the health experts of the country
That's
and the
okay.
United Nations, right?
Most people rely on authority, but an expert would like to view the data.
Okay. So, but again, then the data that they have used is a combination of both random control trials, experimental studies, and observational studies. They have used
For smoking?
For smoking?
Yeah. Mostly observation.
Mostly observation. Okay, fine. Now, when it comes to, however, stuff like nutrition and food, we can definitely have more wiggle room when it comes to experimental studies. So in that regard, for the statements you are making regarding, say, again, right now, there could be certain nutrients and we're discovering certain nutrients. Those nutrients, are you making a statement regarding observational or experimental?
Both.
Both. You have
Yes.
experimental data. You do have it. Yes. Regarding which nutrient right now you want to discuss?
Creatine, we just spoke about.
Creatine is
the
cool.
deficiency.
About the other two things you mentioned, that acid, I keep forgetting the name of that.
The TVA, trans-vaccenic acid or vaccinic acid, it's that. I read it in 23.
The mutton fat, basically, right? That's what you said. You said it comes from lamb,
it's
right?
a long-chain fatty acid.
Okay.
Found in lamb and beef. I can pull out that paper right now if you
Sure,
want.
fair enough. You know what? Let's do it. That's
Yeah.
the whole point of the laptop. You want to do it on your phone or on the...
I have it on my phone, I believe. Okay, you can just...
Sure, I will Google it. No issues.
Because
So
I
I
don't
can-
have access to Wi-Fi here.
Yeah. I have connected my laptop to the Wi-Fi. Just give me a sec.
So you can look up trans-vaccinic acid.
Trans-vaccenic acid.
Said immune response to cancer. I think those keywords should be able to find what we
Immune
need.
response cancer. Yeah, see. University of Chicago Biological Science Division, nutrient found in beef and dairy improves immune response. I think is that an article or is that a study? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it may be one of those studies where they just investigated they studied the meat and they must have found this compound, which now they have been able to name. That's how compound discovery typically happens.
How is they put it under, again, I'm not from the science background, under microscope or?
It really depends because there are so many new techniques we have right now. It really depends on what they've done. But again, you can just look through the paper.
Okay.
It may not be a randomized control trial, but it's the beginning. We can now set the path in motion
We
for
can
future
definitely.
study.
We have observational studies so that we can then use that to form
In
and
fact,
proper.
even before observational studies, we've got data, mechanistic data, such, like so, which can then lead us to our observation. We can look around now and see if there's a better immune response in people who do consume beef and dairy. And then we can set up a randomized control trial.
Perfect. I got PubMed on here. Rethinking nutritional villains, a trans fatty acid identified to boost immunotherapy. Okay. Now, obviously, we can't go through an abstract here. I would just like to see those references. You can obviously help me out if you can.
No, it's all yours. I had a quick glance at it in 23.
Okay.
But
Again, you got to help me here because I'm kind of a noob. The reason I keep asking about this pyramid here is because if you ask me right now, bro, to okay, Arvind, I want to break down exactly why this is better than that, I may be able to give you a layman's answer on this.
Yeah.
But I have been taught, and let me know if it's true or not, that experimental studies do have more value than an observational study.
In general, you can say that.
Okay.
But it depends on what it is you're studying because a lot of things that we study, we have to rely heavily on observational data and epidemiological data.
To set up the study or even after?
Sometimes you can't do randomized control trials.
Explain that exactly.
Smoking is a great example. I just spoke to you about
Yeah,
smoking.
but right now we're talking about, unfortunately, animals that we have classified as food, so that will not fall under
In that
ethics.
case, we can definitely set up an experimental study. Perhaps with TVA, we are at a point where we just have some mechanistic knowledge.
At the moment.
At the moment. And we may want to now use that compound, administer it to humans, and then see what the extent of that immune response is.
Could be. Completely agreed. And you may be able to then say, you know what, definitely, I'm sure this stuff does work.
Yes, definitely this stuff does work. And now, since we've identified the compound, now we can create a dietary supplement. So we don't need to eat.
Take the animal. Synthetically, we can do so.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, but at the moment, then with the current data, can we make a definitive statement?
I mean, we don't just need to look at TVA. We can look at all the other nutrients too. That's the reason why I didn't just mention TVA.
Yeah, I'm just stick such as creatine you mentioned, but we already have a supplement on that. And
yeah, I'm just saying that by the track record, you take something like vegans in the early 90s. They were obviously not getting their creatine. They were not getting their carnosine. They were obviously not getting a lot of other nutrients which were not discovered, or even if they were discovered.
That's quite interesting you bring that up but then again, I understand that when it comes to checking the health of a human being, we have to look at the biomarkers. That's like the best way, like a lipid test, a urine test, fecal test. Would you agree that is the best, a CT scan would be the best way to look at?
I wouldn't necessarily say that's the best, but that's one way.
But without biomarkers, which are measurable and quantifiable, how else do we check if someone is healthy or not? Like
we can see if they express symptoms of good health and performance.
Just if they radiate wellness and they...
Yes.
All right.
Because there are so many tests. Which ones do you get done? So normally before we get testing done, we have to see if someone is displaying symptoms, which would indicate getting that test done to then determine whether they have a deficiency or insufficiency or something.
You want to... Oh, yeah, sure. Sorry, they tend to swap batteries now and then.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right. No problem.
In already an hour? Really? That's... Okay. Don't worry, I've made a mental... By the way, just letting you know, none of this...
Do you mind if I stand for a bit?
By all means, bro. Okay, sure. By all means. Just letting you know, none of this is going to be cut, by the way, because we want everything to be completely transparent. So even yesterday's thing, when they had to change the batteries and everything, we were just chilling and talking, like nothing is going to be...
yeah, that's fine.
I mean, transparency and honesty is important.
That is something I really appreciate, because even when I debate, from start to finish, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything
should be there. Exactly.
That's honorable, and I really appreciate that.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I remember exactly where we left off, so I know exactly where to continue. Sure. And if you would like to take a break, drink some water, go to the...
No, I'm fine. I just need to stand a bit, that's it.
So how long and how are you dealing with that?
Oh, my back's pretty good now. Like, I made a full recovery. But some of the symptoms still persist because I still continue to play, train, so the back does get a beating in the process. All right.
Like, do you have any particular, you're diagnosed with some particular kind of condition like sciatica?
L5S1, which is why I had the sciatica. Okay. Sciatica is usually a symptom of a disc herniation.
Oh yeah, the disc tends to press on the nerve, right? And that radiates through. You're like, my good dude, that was with me for like 6 years ago. That happened to me. Freaking horrible, painful. Yeah,
it is horrible. So what I typically do, if you ever see me lecture or do IG lives, I'm always standing. This is perhaps the longest I've sat in God knows how long.
Oh crap! Are you uncomfortable? Would you like to?
No, absolutely.
Okay, fine.
Absolutely fine. This is a pretty comfortable chair, actually.
She wants to open the door. Yes.
Okay.
When it's done, like once you have done referring to your laptop, best for you to close because the focus shifts from your face to...
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not know that.
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
You can still use this and sometimes it doesn't...
Okay. I'll make a note of that. Sure. I'll make a note of it. Oh, right. You can make an audio recording. You're the first person to actually do that. No one... It's good he's doing that.
No, it's well, I completely trust you. It's just for my own, because I like to analyze my own debate performance.
Fair enough. By all means. No, let me know. There are plenty of slimy people, just like, who will try to, even if, like, say, they'll ready out one part to make themselves look good. There are people who do that, so... My shirt? Okay. You think I'm slouching too much? Oh, I can sit like this if you want. Okay. I think people will be more interested in the actual masala that's being spoken than the content is what gives it life, not necessarily. But yeah, I'll try to be.
And if we can increase the temperature of the AC also a little bit, like
To make it warmer, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty chilly. I mean, I don't know how you're feeling.
I'm feeling fine. These clothes are quite thick, so.
Okay. It is cold, no? He's feeling cold.
By the way, I got a watch today, finally. I bought one. I was borrowing his watch for the shoot yesterday.
All right. You should check out this brand. You'll like it. It's called a Chronobee.
Chronobit.
Chronobee,
okay.
And this is actually a smartwatch.
Oh, it doesn't look like one.
It doesn't look like one, so you may want to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very little known watch. It's like one of the watch collector's best kept secrets.
You are interested in what?
No. I've always wanted a Chronobee.
But you're someone who tracks the steps and stuff?
I don't.
Then why do you wear a smartwatch? It's just convenient.
I mean, it's convenient. Like, I get the data.
Okay, fine.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Rolling in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so exactly where we last left off was when you said biomarkers need not necessarily be the only way or the ultimate way to measure someone's health. It could be just through maybe their experience or when you ask them certain questions and what they kind of say. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a pretty good way. Internal health is very important.
Okay, let's say, for example, then, there are some people who, let's take both sides of the spectrum. Have you heard of raw vegans?
Yes.
Okay, fine. And surely you know the carnivore diet.
Yes.
The two extremes. Would you agree that both are kind of quacky?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad we agree on that. Okay. Let's take someone from the carnivore diet, right? I was saying, I have been on the carnivore diet for the past 3 months and all of my symptoms are gone. And the same statement we get right now from the person on the raw vegan diet, because both of them are pretty much an elimination diet and you lose your symptoms of arthritis or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, just because they say they feel good, may not necessarily mean they are healthy. The raw vegan could be deficient in a hell lot of vitamins.
Yeah.
This carnivore could be raising their LDL to unimaginable degrees and then a heart attack is just waiting to knock the door.
Right.
So then aren't biomarkers necessary in order to measure?
Of course they are. What I'm claiming is that if you do chance by a carnivore or a raw vegan, then the relevant biomarkers must be tested. But you need to know whether they're a carnivore or vegan first, or raw vegan first, to know which biomarkers you have to test, because there are millions.
True. But so there are millions of biomarkers, but if, say, for example, right now I go to the hospital and I say, hey, I want to do a blood test, they show me around some 100 markers.
The most relevant
ones. So wouldn't looking at the most relevant give us a general idea? Of course, let's say, for example, if my symptoms of sickness still persist after that, then the doctor will be like, okay, do this scan, do an x-ray, do that scan. It's only we go step by step into the worst categories, what could possibly be wrong in this body. But looking at the initial 100 biomarkers that any general hospital does for my blood test and a urine test maybe, wouldn't that be enough for me to assess my health on?
It would be a good starting point.
So then when we said right now, the statement you are making is a particular group, like say someone who's omnivorous could be leading a better life, creme de la creme, than the most ultimate plant-based diet. Do we base that on biomarkers or do we base that on their statement? How do we?
So, of course, we can measure creatine in the brain. And if omnivores, which we do know, omnivores tend to display better levels of creatine in the brain, which is what then helped us determine that vegans have a legitimate deficiency. So that is a biomarker which we can look at.
So creatine is something we can choose to supplement it if we want to. And you would recommend that 100% by the way?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
If I have never done it in my life. If I do it, 100%. I will definitely feel a difference, physically and mentally.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So that is one thing I will consider. And that is something we can do. But for the other nutrients, if you would like to mention a bunch, apart from creatine, which we can now synthetically manufacture, when you make a statement like the Okinawans consuming 70 to 100 grams of fish a day, would therefore make their life expectancy or their health the highest degree possible. Do we base that on biomarkers or do we base that on
observation?
Observation.
Yes.
Okay.
Because all we know is what they eat and how they fare. We don't know exactly why they fare better, but there are hints in the data that we've collected.
So when you make the statement here right now, we don't know exactly why they fare better. But then you later obviously cannot make the statement that it is probably the 100 grams of fish that is causing it, right?
Yeah, we don't know exactly why, which is my entire argument. If you do not know why the Okinawans are doing better. The exact reason why. Why get rid of the meat?
For the ethical qualms. That's the only reason. I mean, if there's no ethics in this, who cares, right? Like that's the...
See, meat is one part of their puzzle. It may be a contributing factor, it may not be. Some people just don't want to take that chance.
So, but unless we have proper data, we can't necessarily say that it is the meat though. And we can obviously show observational data maybe of also showing people who are eating a properly well-balanced plant-based diet, which does not involve the meat or animal products, who also tend to live long and healthy. Right?
The nature of nutritional science is that we never have proper data. There are always limitations.
Of course.
Right? But there is a track record over so many decades which shows that people that eat meat, they tend to consume compounds which vegans and vegetarians do not, and those compounds have health benefits.
And some compounds are discovered, we are recently discovering, and we will continue to discover, although we do not have necessarily perfect data showing that every single particular compound discovered is necessarily showing a positive effect on human health. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, I wish there was perfect data so that we could state this more definitively.
Okay, so then so I can neither, of course, I'm not the kind of person, by the way, who goes around making statements saying, you become vegan, all your health problems solved. I'm not one of those guys, because there are a lot of unfortunate vegans who make statements like that because that's just not true. Regardless of whatever food you consume, it has to be balanced and has to be planned in order for it to be optimal. Then with that being the case with your last statement, would it be right if I said we can neither say that the meat is the reason they are necessarily healthy, nor is removing it would potentially lead to negative effects?
Right now, we can most definitely say that the meat is a contributing factor because...
It is a contributing, okay, fine. But then, okay, if you look at it this way then, again, let's take the blue zones. If we look at Okinawa, I believe, again, it's like a small piece of chashu pork is what they call it, right? That small minced pork, they eat that. And then they're a coastal Japan, so they eat fish. Then if we go to Loma Linda, California, that's where the Seventh-day Adventists, the Christians, and they are vegetarian or vegan. And the study was done on both. And we have vegetarians there, their main source will be like cheese or something, I guess, cheese and some dairy products. Then again, in Costa Rica, we also have these people who with blue zones. And they, again, their main foods are beans, corn, and squash. The three sisters is what they call in Central America. That's what they eat. And of course, none of them are vegan. They all consume animal-based foods. The other one is in Sicily, Italy. That's where, and the last one is in Greece somewhere. Now, the point is that all of these groups have several things in common. First of all, living in community. They are all well-knit. They all till in the field, hardworking, and they get together, they laugh, they celebrate, they're happy. So that in and of itself already boosts the human health. Do you agree with that? A good social life? It does, yeah. When it comes to food, they all consume the vast majority of their calories from plants. If we're looking at it from a macro perspective, calories come from plants. Only 10% would you say comes from animal, or even less than that? Or like I heard that they eat a lot of sweet potatoes in Okinawa, right? 10% or less than that, yeah. So that's when we have to now ask the question, again, that's why I keep saying this, unless we can quantify, it's very difficult to make a definitive statement. Like, yes, by these 10% of calories coming from animal-based foods, we experience A, B, C, D, E benefits, where if this was removed and through another synthetic or plant source, these cannot be filled. Like, do we have definitive...
Arvind, we can just use the blue zones. You mentioned that 90% of their diet is plant-based. They have other healthy habits also. And then 10% of their diet is animal foods. So if we were to logically grant that plant foods in abundance are fantastic, then we use the same logic to also grant that 10% of animal foods. If the 90% plant foods are contributing to good health, then the 10% of animal foods are also contributing to good health.
Yes, they are. But what happens now if we remove it? That's the question. The question is, because you are now removing the minority, is it the minority that's the base that's holding everything up firmly? Or is it the majority that is the 90% that is holding the base firmly?
Both. I just gave you the example of creatine. A small amount of creatine is enough to not be deficient in the brain such that your cognitive performance is better. And that's why vegetarians do better with creatine supplementation. Omnivores do not.
So again, I'm not contesting mainly for creatine because
I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah, because creatine, we do have the option. At the moment we have a vegan option, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like when you say, hey, listen, bro, this one we don't have the option. So when you say, for example, something like this can aid in the prevention of certain cancers, some kind of meat, or they have some benefit, my only argument is I can also show you, of course, not off the top of my head, maybe if I can ask my scientist friends, they can pull out data, of plenty of plant foods when consumed that do show that consuming them and the antioxidants and phytochemicals present in them reduce drastically.
Fair enough, Arvind. We went over this. They may be contributing via different mechanism of action. The meat is contributing via different mechanism.
So you're
of action.
saying that when it comes to this mechanism, are you talking about a particular disease or are you talking just about a mechanism? Same disease?
For TVA, it's a particular disease, which is cancer.
Do we have any other, studies showing that any particular plant foods could potentially help in that as well?
Yes, of course.
We do. So in that is the regard, and of course both happen through different mechanisms. If someone obviously has cancer right now, that's not the place to go and obviously I'm not going to go to a cancer patient and argue with them about this. That's not whom I do activism to. But to make a statement again saying that meat for sure definitely will lead to a better health outcome, I am again not even wanting to contest this because I don't think I'm first of all knowledgeable enough to contest that. And second thing is, let it even be true. Let it be true. I still want numbers.
But that's not my claim. My position is I do not know if it is the meat for sure. To know that we should not consume zero
Then
meat,
why
because
not?
the track record shows that when you do not consume zero meat, you tend to get these compounds which most certainly have health and performance benefits. So a small dose of meat is what I'm making a case for. I'm not saying you consume it in any amount possible.
I get it, but as an animal rights person and as a vegan, you would know even a small dose, it's not like the animal is a little dead.
Yes.
They are dead.
Yes.
So with that being the case, you are definitely presenting towards me different compounds that can be found in meat, which I'm not disagreeing with. But we also have, as of now, if I'm not wrong, I'm not talking about creatine. I'm talking about, say, other nutrients you say we are discovering along the way right now. That is observational data. We are not necessarily having proper experimental data or meta-analysis on the same. Like,
It's not observational data. If they have found a compound, then that's pretty much set in stone that yes, this is a compound, we've identified it. Fine, you can label it as observational because it's been observed to be present in meat.
Right.
Okay, just for linguistic reasons, I'll just put that out there. But yes, that's a compound. Now we can start studying it.
Yeah, but how, the point is, but we haven't yet gotten to that level yet.
I mean, we got to a pretty good level. It does show an immune response to cancer and tumor growth.
That's what I'm asking. So that study you did show me was an experimental study. That was
it.
Or is it a
I'm
cross-sectional
not very
study?
familiar with the methodology. You can have a look at it.
Okay.
But it did.
No, trust me. Even if I did, I don't know.
That's why I wanted you to see the paper.
No. The thing is, even if I did see it, I am not unless I ask ChatGPT right now, like, hey, bro, is this like
Please, feel free.
No, okay, fine. We can ask Chat. I don't have an issue.
Yeah. I mean, to just quickly summarize a paper, because this is something I pulled off the top of my head.
But I would like, so I'm just making note of this one thing. One thing you said right now is, let's just say, fatty acids. And you know what? Yeah, it is cold. Give me a second. Man, it's cold.
Maybe you can make that 26, perhaps 25.
Yeah, my fingers could barely write. Fatty acids found in beef is one. I don't know the name, so let's just leave that for now. Apart from that, could you give me a list of a few more, please?
Okay, take creatine.
Creatine, I agree with you. I'm not arguing.
No, but the reason I'm sharing creatine, take carnosine as well if you can.
Carnosine, okay.
You can write that down. The reason I'm sharing these compounds with you is because they're unique to animal tissue. And they're unique to animal tissue. And they were discovered. And then after discovery, we reached a point where we could supplement with them and derive the benefits of them. Omnivores were already deriving the benefits of these compounds. Vegans got an opportunity after we reached a stage where we could supplement with these compounds.
Absolutely, yeah. See, the whole idea of this eating vegan food and supplementing, this could not have been possible a few 100 years ago.
Yes.
I'm completely aware of that.
Yes.
Yeah, this is only possible due to modern day technology and modern day medicine.
Yes.
I agree with that completely, yeah.
Yes, and we are still not at a point in our technological advancement where we have discovered every single compound that could be beneficial to us.
True. So we'll go get that. So fatty acids found in beef, carnosine, then
Creatine.
Creatine, but okay, just writing it down.
Okay, you can write B12, vitamin D, omega 3s.
Okay.
Taurine is another one.
That's an amino acid, right?
Yes, it is an amino acid.
B12, vitamin D, omega 3,
Small doses of carnitine, not large doses.
and then carnitine. Let's address this one by one.
Collagen.
Collagen, yeah, okay.
I believe that's another one for which we do not yet have a vegan alternative.
Collagen?
Yeah, we have collagen builders, but I don't think we got vegan collagen.
Not sure on this. I would not know. Okay, and you want to name any more, or you?
I mean, that's a good
That's a good
place to
amount. Okay,
begin.
fine. I'm going to, right off the bat, just cross out creatine, B12, vitamin D, and omega 3 because the definitive, because we just literally have supplements on that. Like,
Yeah, but those compounds are still important because they help us establish a track record. My argument is inductive in nature because the track record has demonstrated this. Therefore, following the track record, the likelihood that we'll continue discovering new nutrients is very, very high. It's like this. We are sitting and like inductive reasoning 101. I'll just share that with you. We're sitting in this podcast studio and we know inductively that the roof is not going to fall down upon us and we won't die. We don't know that for sure, definitively. But you've been here. We don't see roofs falling down on our head every single day.
True.
So the inductive conclusion is that in all likelihood, the roof is not going to fall down and kill us. It's a probability thing.
True.
So that is the nature of the
So when
argument.
it comes to the roof example, you would base the probability probably on looking at above us and seeing whether there are cracks in the wall or having a gander of what's going on in the
Yeah, it's a track
foundation.
record,
Yeah,
right?
it's a track record.
The track record of this building communicates that it's pretty strong.
So as humans, track records alone are not enough to establish evidence, right? Because there could be something or it has a wonderful track record. Say it's based on something, I don't know personally your opinions, but I'm an atheist, okay?
Same.
Some person could make a statement saying that they've been doing this particular tradition, and if they do this dance, it will rain in the next few weeks and the crops will be harvested. Like,
But you can study that.
But the point is that maybe the rains do not happen necessarily because of the dance, and because the monsoons show up exactly at that time.
Yeah.
But these people do the dance before the monsoon and think that they have induced the monsoons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is,
So
when
that
you,
is an inductive conclusion, but that can still be rigorously tested, and eventually we can reach a stage. Oh, yeah, these two things just are happening simultaneously. One's not causing another.
right. So similarly, right now we are coming to this inductive reasoning on the following basis that we already have a list with us of these many nutrients. We are discovering more nutrients, and among these nutrients, we know for a fact, as a vegan, I'll admit, B12 and vitamin D is something that vegans have to supplement with. If you are a vegan, please supplement with B12 and vitamin D. I literally have an entire video that's explaining about this, because if we don't, it's not going to be good. So I don't have any argument against this. When you say, again, meat provides this, again, vitamin D, I guess, apart from fatty fish, there's no other source of vitamin D.
I mean, cod liver oil, salmon.
Fish, basically.
Yeah,
seafood.
yeah.
Okay, fine. So what about, fine, I won't need that for now. Okay, fine. Omega-3 also. Now, again, help me out on this, because we seem to not be in agreement about something. When I asked, again, the statement that, what do you say, like, we have authorities that do make blanket statements like saying smoking is harmful or drinking liquor is injurious to health because it affects your liver. And they base this on certain data, right? And we do, of course, they could be wrong at times, but in many cases they are right as well.
In the nutrition space, it's debatable how right they are.
It's debatable, you say. Okay, fine. But when they make a statement saying that something is an essential nutrient and something is non-essential, you are saying we should not give too much value to that, but rather look at every single nutrient case by case, based on the data we have. So do we have like meta-analyses that are analyzing overall like each nutrient and looking into the potential benefits, the downsides, everything?
Yes. Once we have sufficient data, a meta or a systematic review is the next step.
Right.
It's not a necessary step, though. It is often the next step.
Okay. And but is it fair that we can make definitive statements only after we reach this stage of the evidence hierarchy? We can draw conclusions, obviously.
Make more confident statements.
Okay, yeah, right. That confident statements. Now, when you listed all of these nutrients right now, I'm not going to contest for any of the following: B12, vitamin D, omega-3, and creatine, because I myself, with my limited knowledge, know that these things are non-contestable, and the evidence on their behalf is immense. Now, when it comes to carnosine. No, taurine is, I know for a fact that cats need taurine, because if cats don't need taurine, they can blind. It's an amino acid.
Yes.
Doesn't my body manufacture taurine as a human being?
But we've seen that people who supplement with taurine and they consume some taurine, they have better cardiovascular markers, better for performance metrics also. A lot of athletes supplement with taurine. So taurine is
What are those markers exactly? And what markers are you basing that on?
Just general cardiovascular
Such
health.
as?
You can say,
LDL, HDL?
I'm not entirely sure about that, but we can take performance
Would you
metrics.
like to?
No, the laptop's all yours. Whatever I state, I would like you to use the laptop to verify.
Fair enough. No, the thing is, it's not that I doubt you by any means. Okay.
No. I would like the laptop to be there so that we can verify every statement. That's absolutely fine.
Fine. That's fine by me. But no,
it's just that when you ask me that,
you may not off the top of your head remember.
Off the top of my head, I cannot remember.
Can you tell me like what to Google for that? What you want me to?
You can just look up taurine health performance benefits.
Taurine. Okay, wait a second.
Or you can just look up taurine cardiovascular health.
Let me check that. Taurine cardiovascular benefits. I hope this is not affecting the camera angle much. No? Okay. Taurine offers various cardiovascular benefits. It's okay if we use AI, because that's kind of like
it's
the
all right.
summary we have. Including blood pressure regulation, which can be lowered through supplementation. It supports heart function by helping to regulate calcium levels within cells and increase nitric oxide production and improve blood flow. Okay, yeah. So they are now talking here about taurine supplementation. They haven't necessarily said taurine through meat. So
that's because before supplementation, the only source of taurine was through meat. Yeah.
And even though meat does, would you agree with the statement that excess amount of saturated fat will eventually lead to higher LDL levels?
There is a link.
There is a link.
The two, but it is a contested theory.
Okay, by contested, you mean it is in set in stone, or like, no, it's not set in stone?
It was set in stone. Now it seems like it is
shaky again.
It is shaky.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. The reason why I am asking this is because I know, again, when I speak all these things that I say I know, I want you to know that I don't come from a nutrition background.
That's
I have friends who are from a background similar to yours, or friends who are scientists. What they tell and teach me is what I speak.
Yes, Arvind. I don't have all the facts off the top of my head either, which is why I want you to use the laptop.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whenever you want to. And in fact, you can also help me. Like with taurine, you just help me.
What I wanted to ask about taurine was this. When you saying the taurine is beneficial, but how much of any kind of meat does one need to consume to get in that enough taurine to get that benefit? But along with that meat, are we not also consuming excess amounts of saturated fat in the process? Because meat happens to be a whole food.
Very good question. Very good question. So again, since I'm making a case per the track record, as per the track record, one of the central tenets of toxicology is that we tend to see benefits at lower doses and we tend to see harmful effects at higher doses. So I agree, when you consume high doses of meat, it's probably not good for you. But at low doses of meat, you get these beneficial compounds at the doses at which they do provide you benefits. And that's the case I'm making for. Do not consume high doses of meat.
The case you're making obviously is obviously only for like say like the Okinawans. That's your case.
I mean, that's one hint. I'm not saying that we
maybe double, triple of the Okinawans.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Okay.
Like I know that consuming zero meat is not ideal. So, and consuming a lot of meat is also not ideal. Somewhere in the middle is where we want to be.
Okay. So when it comes to taurine here, again, they're mentioning about supplementation and carnitine. Exactly what was your point about carnitine?
Carnitine also seems to offer some health benefits, in particular cognitive benefits.
Okay.
It tends to improve.
When you make these claims that they offer benefits, I agree with you. I don't disagree at all. But let's say, for example, someone chooses to eat. Okay, I know what you. Okay, that wouldn't make sense, because what I wanted to say was, if someone, for example, says they don't want to eat legumes, which we know that even a cup of beans or something per day is high in fiber and really increases your health benefits a lot. But if someone says they don't want to eat that, just because they don't eat that particular food doesn't mean they can't get benefits from elsewhere.
Well, they may not get those benefits, which are unique to legumes.
Okay.
Because the same way there are compounds that are unique to meat, there are compounds which are also unique to certain umbrellas of vegetables. So you should consume your legumes. Like, that's the reason why this argument cuts both ways. It's not great for the carnivores either, because they are not getting the important phytonutrients.
Right.
I'm making a case for zoonutrients here. But phytonutrients are just as important. A carnivore can supplement with vitamins and minerals. What about the undiscovered phytonutrients? Right? So
At this point, haven't they discovered every single antioxidant?
no. In fact, with plants, we tend to see more frequent discoveries because there's so many different types of plants. And then we keep finding new extracts and then we keep supplementing with them. I mean, just think of the huge array of dietary supplements we have. You take something like turmeric, we extract curcumin. You take something like the ashwagandha root, okay, so with Withania somnifera, that is something. So pretty much there's some unique compound in almost every single plant which has medicinal or health benefits. So your best bet would be to consume a wide range of plant foods and then also a small amount of animal foods.
So now here's my issue with this, and I want you to help me on this. Once again, I have to bring up the point that taurine, carnitine, collagen, and carnosine, if I'm not wrong, are not classified as essential nutrients. I'm not denying that maybe by taking them, one might experience certain benefits.
Yeah, but that's a categorization error. It's an appeal to authority.
Okay. So then when you say, for example, someone who does, right now our old example where we have two Arvinds and one of them is following the omnivorous diet that you recommend and one is being vegan, what are the benefits you can expect to see in him that you say cannot be found in me?
Better cognition.
And how we measure that? Again, I'm just curious, how do we, like, in the studies, how do they measure that? Like,
Again, this is a 2011 paper. You can pull it out. I'll be more than happy to share it with you. But they must have done some fluency tests, memory recall. So there must be cognitive testing.
Okay. This is a randomized control trial.
Yes.
Okay, fine. One is memory. Next one?
Memory, physical performance.
By physical, what do you mean exactly? Like
More strength.
More strength. Okay.
Yes.
Again, can we quantify the most strength? Is it possible to, like, if, for example, if Arvind did this by...
Yeah, with creatine we can quantify more strength because we got so many randomized controlled trials on creatine.
Right.
So people who consume creatine are much,
I think it's considered the most researched upon supplement in the world. Is that true? Like creatine? They keep calling it that.
I mean, they keep saying that, but I have my doubts as to whether it truly is the most researched because there's so many other compounds which are being studied since the 1800s and even before that.
Okay.
So, I mean... Yeah, it's okay to make that claim.
Okay,
I don't have a problem with it per se.
Okay. But again, when it comes to physical strength, say, for example, if Arvind today was able to lift only 18 kgs in bench press, and he now decides to take an omnivorous approach and continues to work mainly on his bench press, say in 3 months, I'm able to lift 25 kgs comfortably in each hand and do like 15 reps or something. How much will the vegan Arvind be able to do in comparison? A vegan Arvind who is trying his best to compete on that same level, as in like he is taking his...
You don't even have to ask me. You can just look at the data. Because
what do I look to look at?
Just look at creatine, randomized control trials, strength, performance. And you'll be able to say...
No. Again,
minus supplementation.
I am supplementing. The vegan is now supplementing. I am now...
Oh, then in that case, you won't see a difference.
I won't see a difference.
Yeah, because you're supplementing.
Okay, when it comes to strength and when it comes to cognition, I will not be seeing a difference.
Yeah, in fact, you may actually do better than the omnivore because you're supplementing. The omnivore might be getting less creatine from the diet. You'll be getting a full dose of creatine.
But let's say we match that, everything.
Then your results will be the same.
The same?
Yeah, and insofar as creatine is concerned.
Okay, but what about the other things? What benefits could they possibly give that Arvind the upper hand for?
We just went through a few. With
memory power and strength, you said, right?
Memory power, strength, the cardiorespiratory benefits of taurine, the skin elasticity benefits of collagen.
About that, cardiorespiratory, we'll go to that cardio health. Again, on what markers are you measuring this?
We just had a look at the laptop and Mr. AI helped you identify a few.
This one, you mean the taurine benefit?
Yes.
The blood pressure regulation. Okay, fine. So, but then again, so are you saying to me that someone, say for example, who now consumes foods like beetroots, which contains, I believe, nitrates? Or
yes.
Which also aids in my blood circulation stuff?
Through one mechanism of action.
Yes, and this is another mechanism of action.
Yes.
Do we have any kind of studies that show that this one mechanism is superior to the other mechanism?
Well, maybe we do. I do not know if we do. But someone may contest that and say, I don't care if one mechanism is better. I want both the mechanisms.
So that again, like, of course, if we're going to look at only optimization, you win. I'm not even going to contest that. If
I'm making a case for optimization.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with that at all. Of course, because you are now keeping all options open. Everything's on the table. Be it when it comes to supplementation, plant-based food, or animal-based foods, everything's on the table. Obviously, when it comes to optimization, you have more options to choose from. And probably even when it comes to, you can say, a financial perspective at the moment, because the way in which we have our food system set up, probably getting animal-based protein is cheaper in certain regards than plant-based protein. I'm not going to deny any of that.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but to say that the vegan cannot or may not be able to do as well when I can use probably other mechanisms to also optimize my health on that level. Because at the end of the day, if we say, you said two things before. One was obviously a person coming forward and saying like, hey, you know what, I feel swell, I feel good, I'm doing great is one thing. Second thing obviously is more rigid and measurable is biomarkers, like a blood test or a urine test or some other kind of like whatever test they do in the hospitals, they can do that. If we look at biomarkers, can we truly make a case, Aman, by saying that a vegan cannot use whatever benefits that certain plants have to optimize their health to the exact same degree that plants and synthetic supplements to optimize their health degree on biomarkers as compared to an omnivore?
But Arvind, you just conceded the fact that when it comes to optimization, omnivores are better.
You guys have more options. Like you.
Oh, okay. So you still not considered the fact that omnivores will do better from an optimizing health perspective. Okay, I get it. I get it. That's fine. But that's the reason why I brought up the potentially undiscovered nutrients which have health benefits as per the track record.
Yeah, but the track record, but potentially we still don't have. Like if you had the data, on these, as you mentioned,
we don't have the data that this roof is going to crash and kill both of us right now. But as per the track record, we are both sitting here and we are having this podcast together.
But in that same regard, can I also not make the statement that we have enough studies to show that a well-planned plant-based diet can also work perfectly for human beings?
It works very well. It may not work to the best of a nutrition plan's ability. A nutrition plan can be optimized further with animal-based foods.
Okay, and you are saying that from a pure biological perspective, not from something like based on expenses or
nothing. I don't care about the expenses.
Okay, it's only based on a purely biological perspective. I am neither knowledgeable enough to argue on that front, so I just want to say let's go with your statement. Let's say I give that. Okay, that it is done that way. But then comes the point that how far are we willing to go to get that optimization? And that's why I wanted to know, how can we quantify? Maybe I know we're going in circles, but yeah.
No, that's okay. It's a fair question. Like I told you, that the quantity is definitely not zero. And it's definitely not how the average American eats, because they stuff themselves with meat all the time. It's somewhere in the middle. From hints in the data, like we mentioned the Okinawa ones, but we also have a lot of other data on cardiovascular health. It seems like up to 4 to 8 servings of meat a month, probably a good place to start, ensuring that you're not deficient in any undiscovered nutrients. That would be my soft recommendation for now.
I agree that that's your recommendation, but again, we are not able to definitively put down numbers.
It is not definitive. My argument is not definitive. It is inductive.
It's inductive. So it could be wrong.
Yes.
It could be.
Yes. We could be wrong and this roof would come crashing upon us and kill both of us right now.
Yeah, but then again, when we have data that shows that a plant-based diet, again, if I can just, you let me know the validity of this. Just let me know. This one. The first two mainly, because
all right.
I mainly want to emphasize only the first two, not the because the last two are just observational. The third one's a randomized control trial.
Position paper is largely an appeal to authority. And see, with systematic reviews and metas too, I have a criticism for them. It really depends on which studies you include. So for me, as someone who practices as an academic, I look at systematic reviews and metas as a bit of a hack. It is an appeal to authority, not the same way as people typically appeal to authority, but I would like to see the data. a meta or a review is only as strong as the individual studies which have been included in that meta and review. Right.
True.
And sometimes what happens, I can give you an example of the low carb versus high carb diet wars. We had a lot of metas and reviews on low carb versus high carb diets, which kind of showed that they're both just as good. And then finally, I think in 2014 and 15, or 15 and 16, we got these two awesome randomized control trials. In fact, those randomized control trials are metabolic war trials, wherein they just get a bunch of people and they keep them in a hospital so that they can literally look at them, observe them, and ensure that, okay, the low carb people are actually low carb and the high carb people are actually high carb, and monitor everything. When those two randomized control trials came about, and they demonstrated that, there isn't much of a difference as long as calories are equated. Low carb and high carb do just as well. The strength of that study, of those two papers, was of the extent that the metas and reviews which came before that were of no consequence because those RCTs were so strong.
True.
So that tends to happen in the scientific literature.
Agreed, yes.
Which is why I'm not a big fan of that
pyramid.
Of the pyramid. In fact, there's another version of that pyramid also. I should be able to share that with you if you're interested.
By all means.
Let me see if I can look that up.
Yeah, you want me to
You can search something like an update to the evidence-based hierarchy PubMed, updated scientific pyramid PubMed. Let's Google those keywords. So there are people who actually criticize this pyramid.
All right.
And they've offered a better approach. Let me see if I can have a look.
Is this what you're talking about?
No, let's go on all. New evidence pyramid. Yes, this is Murad. Yes, this is the one. Have a look at this one. So you'll get the full text over here.
Inside?
Yeah.
This one first?
The one below.
This one?
Yeah, just click on that. And if you just scroll down, you'll see. I would suggest you give this a read, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the pyramid you're talking about?
Yes. So again, I'm not appealing to this pyramid, but I'm just trying to highlight that this pyramid has been criticized because there are...
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, feel free to include this also in the references for this episode.
Okay, wait. Let me just make a mark of it then. Systematic reviews, meta-analysis, randomized. This is what I guess I was showing you.
Yeah. Because see, the idea is, since this is called the quality of evidence, we have to accept the fact that a review and meta-analysis honestly isn't evidence. It's not new evidence. It's a way of looking at the evidence. All right. So what they've done is they've essentially just got rid of that top chunk. You can see, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a way to view the evidence. It's not evidence per se. So I am a big fan of the RCTs. For me, it's usually RCTs first, unless there is something like I mentioned, smoking, wherein the observational data, which is immense, becomes very valuable.
Okay, I agree. Then we can remove the top part, but we do have RCTs, of course, that are valid enough to show many things. And like then, for example, we do have this RCT here that does show that, like I said, they supplemented the vegans and the non-vegans, and they did a test based on muscle gain. And the vegans performed either just as well, if not maybe...
Yeah, for a protein-matched omnivorous diet, if all that's being considered is protein.
Muscle gain.
And protein, which is one nutrient.
Okay.
Then, yes, we may see vegans and omnivores do just as well. I'm not just appealing to protein, I'm appealing to other
all
nutrients.
Okay, right. I guess where we come to this in the end after talking so much is this. I don't have the knowledge, nor do I have the expertise in this field to contest with the points you're making. In fact, nor do I even want to necessarily contest with the points you're making, because as a vegan, my aim is not, in fact, to show that a plant-based diet is necessarily superior to an omnivorous one. My only statement is that, again, these are not going to be, the best scientific statements to say, if you can be happy and healthy without consuming animal products, why not? Like, say that's the tagline. Okay, if it's possible to do so, then why not?
Right.
So, with that being the case, I'm not denying any of the statements you've made in regards to what potential benefits meat consumption can give. That's not all my argument. But my only argument is that through other mechanisms, we can obviously try to optimize our health to a certain degree, maybe not 100%. We still don't have numbers. Would you be okay if I made a statement saying 97% or 96%? Like, would you? Or
That's the reason why I have not committed to a number here. But okay, for argument's sake, we can say 96%. But then we also have to factor, you mentioned happy and healthy. Happy and healthy and cancer-free is something which you may want to consider given TVA's track record. Happy and healthy and with better memory is something you may also want to consider.
Fair enough. So regarding the memory part, of course, as a vegan, in order to avoid Alzheimer's and other things in the future, I do take an omega-3 supplement.
But you don't take creatine?
Not yet. I did not. I was actually not aware of this.
Yes.
I did not know about creatine, that it helps in memory. I just assumed creatine is just something that gym bros take.
Yeah. But Arvind, again, no disrespect. You would have gotten some creatine had you been consuming animal products such that you wouldn't be deficient in creatine, at least insofar as compromising cognitive performance is concerned.
So whatever performance I am doing right now, I can do it even better.
Now you can supplement with it now that you know better. But a lot of people just do not know and they don't care to know.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, it's one thing to not know and one thing to not care. Like, of course, I was under the assumption that creatine is meant only for gym bros. That's the information that I thought. Yeah. I did not know it affects memory.
A lot of people believe that.
Yeah, I didn't know anything better either. But my thing is that, so creatine can be supplemented. But regarding about protection against cancer, although I cannot pull up the studies or the names exactly like how you're capable of doing that, I know for a fact, like if given the chance, there are plenty of studies that show how consuming high fiber plant foods also help in prevention of cancer.
Again, Arvind, we're going in circles now because we have spoken about this, and I mentioned that is for a different mechanism of action. Absolutely, I am in support of consuming most of your food from plant foods.
No, I get that, but I guess the disagreement happens when you say we should consume animal-based foods as they have these kind of benefits. Because as a vegan, I can view it from the perspective of the animal and not the human being in that regard. Because right now, in the beginning when we first started this...
Then that's a separate argument.
But then again, it's based on that philosophy and on that mindset that I even come to this conclusion. Because why must I, if you are saying to me, there are benefits here, and just even a small inclusion will make my life better, and I am harping on about like, no, I don't want this, like, I won't do this, there has to be a big reason as to why I choose not to do it.
Yeah, because you consider the suffering of animals above your optimization as far as nutrition is concerned.
Again,
and that is a personal value that you hold, and that's perfectly fine.
Right. But then what happens is that, I guess the whole debate and the point is that you also in the beginning did mention that in the beginning when you saw that slaughterhouse videos, you did empathize with your dog and all this happened. But at a certain point, you do have to, within yourself, justify now doing this. And that justification comes from the point that consumption of these animal products will optimize me to what we currently know in science as 100%. Whereas if I do not optimize it using animal-based foods, the random number I gave, say 96, it's at 96. So that it's for that 4% that you choose to...
We can commit to that for argument's sake.
For argument's sake, right. That's the way. So, from an ethical perspective, however, would that really, like, you do see that as fair?
Yes, I can see someone considering their well-being, their 100% well-being, over the suffering of a few animals that they consume.
Okay. Even though, again, we still haven't quantified it, but let's just run with the random number I gave, 96%. That's fair. Okay. So even though you could potentially be 96% safe, that 4% is so valuable that others will have to be tormented, abused, and force impregnated with all the horrible things that happens to them. We justify that because of the 4% then. That's why I asked the number. We base the justification on a number. That this much percent.
All right. We can commit to 4%. Yeah, 4%. I'm fine with that.
So that 4% then therefore justifies what we do to animals is the question I'll have to ask you.
Yes, to some people it does. To some people like yourself, it does not.
But you base this right now on your own health. And I too, as a person, I agree I'm not as knowledgeable as you when it comes to nutrition. And I believe I have been doing certain things right till this point in time, about creatine, of course, I did not know beforehand. It's not just only about the animals. I do care about myself. But to what extent? Like if you told me right now, Aman, like, hey, Arvind, if you were a vegan at this point in time, bro, you are just gonna be miserable. There is literally no way you can get any nutrient. Like if a proper plant-based diet truly was as suboptimal as, say, a raw vegan diet, which is suboptimal, you have a very valid point to make. Like, dude, you're not just compromising. At that point, you're literally sacrificing. But to say that 4% is what I'm missing out, and in order to have that 4%, we have to take bunches of other species, tie them up, make them pregnant, because we have 8 billion humans right now. It's not that people are doing this to animals in this particular way because they enjoy the torment of doing it to animals. There's literally no other way we can mass produce animal-based food.
Right.
So we are committing forced impregnations on female animals. We are literally stealing babies from mothers. We are, confining them, and then finally brutally killing them for the 4%. Does that really justify it, Aman?
That is a justification which everyone has to decide on a case-by-case basis, because morality, as I'm sure you know, is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, they are willing to accept that sacrifice and close their eyes and just not see the suffering of animals. And I empathize. The reason I make this case, and I repeatedly mention, that this is a case for consuming small doses of animal products. I cannot say that anything goes now, that I've made a case for optimization. I can consume animal products in as large an amount as possible. In fact, veganism by definition, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it is a way of living that seeks to, as far as is practical, minimize suffering.
I understand. That's how I believe the guy who came up with the word, a British man, I forgot his name.
I'll take your definition because it's been a while.
Yeah. The definition I would put forward for veganism is someone who does not exploit animals. Now, there are some caveats here, and I'm willing to, of course, open and talk about that.
Right.
But before that, the caveats would be obviously two things. One is, Arvind, you do take medications and go to the doctor when you're sick, because obviously they're tested on animals. Second is that even if you buy plant-based food, how do you know that an ox or a bullock cart was not used to draw the food from the village to? So these are all areas that we vegans acknowledge.
You try your best.
Yeah. But the thing is that, no, the difference here is that there literally is not a way for me right now to go onto the market and pick out and say, okay, this was used by to plow down. I don't know. So in that regard, when I can't make the call, I can't do anything.
You do your best, and that's what matters.
But the best in regards to not exploiting animals. So it's not about reducing the harm, because
fair enough,
anything can be called as reduction of harm, right? Someone even choosing to eat, they eat like say 10 chicken wings a week, they eat 5 is reduction, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's not, they still are exploiting animals when they don't necessarily have to.
Right.
So the definition says it's about not exploiting animals, and it's also about standing up against a concept called speciesism. I'm sure you're familiar with that term. The idea that human life is superior for some reason to animal life, and therefore we have the right to enslave, exploit, and do whatever we want with them just because we benefit from them. So in that regards, we compare not only, say, animals like how we treat cats and dogs to how we treat pigs and cows and chickens, we also compare human life to animal life. So in that regard, just like how earlier I mentioned, we have to get into hypotheticals eventually, because that's how we conclude if something logically makes sense or not. If you could optimize your health from what it is right now to even 4% higher, superhuman, okay, like you will be the creme de la creme, okay, the level of that. At that point, however, this now involves systemically exploiting, say, a group of vulnerable humans who have been marginalized for centuries, and they literally don't have a voice. They are literally being looked upon like how the British treated us hundreds of years ago, how the Americans treated blacks hundreds of years ago, subhuman, we look at them. And we say they don't have rights or values or any bodily integrity. But by exploiting them in a particular way, we are able to advance our overall, optimize our health in terms of cognition, physical strength. Let's say we radiate happiness and everything. But it has to come from exploitation in a similar horrifying manner towards a marginalized group of humans.
Right.
Would we accept that 4% extra, or would we reject it?
Most people would probably reject that, but a lot of people would probably accept that too.
You're right. Now we have to ask the question, the people who do accept it, are they objectively morally wrong or morally right?
There is nothing known as objective morality. Morality is completely subjective.
Fair enough. I will take that statement. Let's then say under the blanket of human society, based on the fabric with which we have built the society, where we say we have laws, we have rules, we say society is founded on democracy, freedom of speech, equality. That's the words we use. If we were to use now the fabric of society, the current one we have, would that be considered immoral or moral?
Depends on what society you're looking at.
Let's take our own India.
It would be considered immoral.
Immoral. Now, how do we arrive at the fact that it is immoral?
Just like you mentioned, we as a collective get together, whatever icks us or we find repulsive emotionally, we categorize as immoral, and what we feel is justified. And
Sure, go on.
morality is something which is an ongoing process. There are a lot of moral considerations which we may make today, which we didn't make 50 years ago. Okay, 150 years ago, slavery was completely acceptable. Child marriage, it was considered moral too. Today, we do not accept it. So, depending on how we subjectively feel emotionally about the practices in society, these laws keep changing, and our subjective moral sense also changes.
Okay, I wish to disagree on that statement. I want to say that morality, at least for me, fair enough when you're pointing out that there is no objective morality, by the way, because that doesn't exist. I understand that. But if we were to take morality based on what we currently base our society on, the values we use it on, we don't base them necessarily on emotions. Because there could be a group that feels bad for a particular individual who's suffering. There could be a group that doesn't feel bad for them. I don't think we can base it essentially on human feelings, because human feelings doesn't tell us what is right and wrong.
The majority of human feelings is what determines what that society morally considers appropriate or not.
It may determine what the society considers, but that doesn't give us a logical conclusion. Because like I told you, say for example, there is a person who is a horrible human being, has done all sorts of crimes, the worst we can imagine, and then a mob finally finds the guy and they're beating him. I happen to only witness the beating part. I don't know who this guy is or what horrible things he has done. If I am right now going there and trying to stop them, or let's say the government is like, you know what, we should hang this guy, but I only see this man right now crying and his suffering, my heart might weep for him, but I don't know his background. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. Do you agree with this statement?
Yeah, but the reason you go to help him in the first place is because the beating triggered an emotional response in you.
But am I right or wrong is the question? Because let's say we do
without
agree.
having any other knowledge, you're completely right.
Exactly. But now, so that's why it's important that we can't just base them on emotions. Because if we did on emotions, we don't get the whole picture.
I'm not saying that we should base morality on emotions.
Let's talk about what we should base them on then. It's not, of course, I understand majority of humans don't base it on rationality or logic.
Again, I'm not saying that we should base morality on emotions. It's just that we base morality on emotions.
We happen to.
Yeah.
We happen to. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that that's a very incorrect way to look at things.
Do you have a better model?
Yes. What we do is, like I said again, we look at what is happening to that particular individual, be it a human or an animal. We then take that action and we put it into other scenarios and see if it fits. If, for example, by exploiting dogs and cats, we could improve our health markers or whatever you say by 4% or whatever the number is we agreed upon, would that then justify it? Is the question. Like then the question comes up is, no, when it comes to exploiting a human or exploiting a dog or exploiting a cat, forget even the dog and cat, exploiting another human being, we would say no. Because we say they suffer just like me.
But we do say yes to that because there's a lot of experimentation which happens on animals in order to improve human well-being, find better medicines, find better cosmetics.
True.
So we already kind of say yes to that.
We do say it, like I told you, which is why I told you already there are two areas that vegans do not have a solution to at the moment. I'm not saying that we don't acknowledge this. I'm not saying that this is all right. I acknowledge it exists, and I'm honest I'm saying that we don't know what to do there at the moment, because that medical testing, whether Arvind ever goes to the doctor ever again, medical testing will still be happening. Because that is not done necessarily based on supply and demand. That is because they have set a rule that before a drug is passed on to be sold to humans, it has to go through animal trials.
Yeah, but it is the ultimate driving force is demand and supply.
Ultimate driving force is the fact that we are humans who are locked into a system. And for example, there are two things here. Some things you have to be a part of the system to change it. Certain things you can step out of the system to change it. For example, you and me pay our taxes. Our tax money, we don't know for what it's being used. It could be used to pay the salary of a horrible, say, a person in power, an authority figure like a policeman who's misusing his power.
But we have a general sense of what happens with our money.
But then again, it's your money and my money that is going there. We are part of a system, and you cannot escape the system and suddenly be like, I will stop paying taxes from tomorrow and then I'll try to fix the issues. No, you unfortunately, whether you like it or not, are a part of the system. But even while still being a part of it, you can try to change it if you want to. Similarly, like that medications, and even when it comes to plowing, animals used for like tilling fields, which is why I said we don't have a clear-cut black and white solution for this at the moment. Doesn't mean that we are not working on it. There are vegans, by the way, working on creating other means and methods in order to test instead of animals. For example, we have this technology where we can manufacture now tiny human organs in the lab. And they work. Basically, the thing is that we are already working on it to solve that. But that does not necessarily fall under the same purview of meat, dairy, and eggs. As here, it is clear that based on the customer demand, the supply either increases or decreases. So here, if you are someone, of course, since we're in India, who has, I would go as far as saying 100 to, would you agree if I say if someone has 100 to 120 rupees a day in India at the moment, they can, okay, I guess you wouldn't, because when you speak about food, and nutrition, you're looking at it in the most optimal way. You are not looking at it in the general bro sense at all.
But I can relate.
I'm saying 100 to 120 rupees, if you have it, you can get some plant-based food to meet many of, for example, supplementation with vitamin D and B12, it's only 7 rupees per day. Are you aware of that? It's only 7 rupees to get my supplements.
I'm familiar, yes.
You know fortified nutritional yeast, which is high in B vitamins? If I just spend like $5 a day and sprinkle a little bit of that in my food, you know how much B vitamins I'm getting in my body? Which, of course, is rich in meat, but I can now have other ways of getting it in.
True.
And this is very cheap. Again, 5 rupees and 7 rupees are not expensive. So with even less amount of money, a person can still choose to consume plant-based food and not be deficient necessarily.
And they should.
Yeah. So with that being the case, I want to first draw a distinction between the animals that are being raised for food and clothing and in the name of pets and culture, religion, zoos and circuses versus animals trapped in the medical industry for testing. Do you agree there's a distinction here? Or do you say distinction in terms of what action we can currently do right now?
The foundation is still demand and supply.
So, again, as I told you, let's say, for example, 50% of the population from tomorrow in India.
For argument's sake, I don't mind making a distinction, but at the end of the day, the foundation is still capitalism. It's demand and supply.
Right. But here, the difference is that when I stop eating meat, the number of demand there reduces. Just because I stop going to the doctor, let's say I now take alternative medicine or something else, doesn't necessarily mean that the animal testing there stops.
It may stop if the demand for medicines stops or a particular area of research or a particular disease reaches a point where we have cured it sufficiently. Then we don't need to continue testing animals.
Exactly. For example, if I go and buy a paracetamol right now, that is not being tested on animals. We already have the full...
Yes.
Yeah, agreed. So my point is that when it comes to these animals who are being exploited for the other reasons, apart from the tilling of soil and the medical animals, these things are completely under our control based on supply and demand. We can choose to not pay for this to happen.
Yes, we have more control.
We have much more control on this. And the point is that these animals are capable of suffering just as much as we are. They're capable of forming bonds and love with their young ones. It's not like motherly love is unique to humans. It is equal among most vertebrate animals. Cows and pigs and the animals that we consume, they form very strong bonds with their young ones and show love and care towards them. We have to destroy that bond. So if we were to replace the animals right now in dairy farms and slaughterhouses and egg hatcheries or even these pet industries, whatever, with human beings, we wouldn't tolerate it. Because we recognize that I am human, they are human, they can suffer just like me.
Yes, Arvind. And you're right about that. We empathize with humans a lot more than we empathize with non-human animals. Mm-hmm. That is one of the foundations of our morality. Mm-hmm. All right. You would empathize with your best friend far more than a stranger. Mm-hmm. You'd care about your best friend's well-being.
Absolutely.
More than you'd care about the well-being of a stranger.
You're right.
Right? So that little innate sense of relatability that we share with humans is what makes us uncomfortable when something like that is being done to humans. But it kind of makes us comfortable when it's being done to animals. I won't even say it makes us comfortable. Anyone that watches a slaughterhouse video is going to feel terrible on the inside. But then they'll choose not to see it. Or there are some people who just, they're a little psychopathic and they'll see it and they'll be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So what I'm trying to state is that morality, at the end of the day, is subjective. There are some laws that we have to respect because depending on the country and the society that we live in, if something is considered immoral legally, then we can't cross that line. Otherwise, there are going to be consequences. But there are some lines that we can cross, and it's perfectly acceptable for most of society.
That's an appeal to legality fallacy, right? Just because
No, I'm not appealing to legality.
You're not justifying it. You're saying
I'm not appealing to legalities. I'm just saying that is how laws are established. We decide what is right and wrong.
Exactly. And
Right? And then we are like, okay, fine, let's make a law. I'm not saying I agree with the law. I'm pretty sure we all disagree with the law at many levels.
True.
Right? But I'm just saying that this is how it is. And for most people, their subjective moral sense just does not relate with animals, and they would rather optimize for their health and not go through the trouble to figure out how to find alternatives than consider the suffering of animals.
I'm aware of that, but that's why I'm talking specifically to you right now. I want to know
I am considerate.
No, so my point is that at one point you do have to find it in yourself to justify it, right?
Yes.
Maybe you don't even think about it. Like I said, because it's being done at such a large scale by everyone around us. It's so normalized, we don't even seem to think about what's happening. But with that being the case, if tomorrow, like I said, they do manage to find a way in which they can enhance your health to creme de la creme with through some kind of human method, I'm pretty sure you'll reject it. Right? You will reject. You will reject it.
Of course.
And not because you're on camera right now being recorded.
No. If you, for example, lab mate, the day we discover lab mate, it's case closed. There's no reason.
No, people still have reasons, but then again,
I know,
the industry still have reasons.
But the reasons then are very questionable.
Yeah, but then my point to you was, when it comes to humans, even if it does improve your optimization, you reject. Whereas when it comes to certain species of animals, you do accept. If a hypothetical situation, if it involved...
I'll tell you something. Okay. If I was, let's say, ignorant and I didn't have to see the suffering, you see, for example, the clothing that we wear, a lot of it is a byproduct of exploitation, human exploitation.
True.
Either we don't know or we just don't care. Our subjective moral sense is just inconsiderate of that suffering.
Right.
So humans do suffer. They
Yes.
are exploited.
Yes.
And some people care and some people do not.
Right.
Your morality is going to depend from human to human. Some humans
But
are more considerate.
how do
some
we
humans are
in
not.
society then find out between right and wrong, black and white? For example,
Whatever the majority considers right and wrong.
that's a fallacy then.
It's not a fallacy. It's just how it is.
But saying something is the way it is doesn't
I'm just
necessarily
telling you
mean...
how it is.
I'm aware. Please, by all means, I know how
I'm not
things
saying
are.
I agree with it. I'm just saying that this is how it is.
I know how it is, Aman. But I'm asking you, you are still taking part in it. It is how it is, but Aman can choose to change.
Yes, of course.
You as an individual can think for yourself.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to agree. And in this particular scenario, we are talking about animals and the way humans treat animals and interact with them. We treat and interact with animals in such a way we don't even consider them as living beings. We treat them like they're objects.
Depends on the animal. Like you take
The species, exactly.
You take domesticated animals. People have a more fondness for cats and dogs as opposed to
Pigs and chickens.
pigs and cows and chickens.
Yeah, and you are taking... Again, I don't know, by the way, what animals do you eat, if I can ask you? Like, what animal products do you eat?
I'm pescatarian.
You do not consume chicken?
Eggs and seafood.
You don't consume any kind of like lamb, beef, nothing. Okay, fine. So only fish and eggs you consume. No dairy.
No dairy. I'm lactose intolerant anyway, so no dairy.
Oh, okay, fine. So when you are consuming eggs, you are exploiting hens.
Yes.
When you are consuming fish, you are paying someone to go out to the ocean, pull the fish from under the water,
Yes.
bludgeon them to death, they suffocate and they die. You are causing extreme amounts of harm, pain, and suffering to them for what I'm calling as the 4% of optimization.
Yes, because my subjective morality values the 4%, my well-being, over the suffering of that fish. I'm considerate of that suffering. I respect the suffering.
How can you respect the suffering, bro?
Fine. Okay. Fair enough. You can't respect someone's suffering, but I'm considerate of it. But I'm still more considerate of optimizing my well-being.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of people like me.
Right. So, and you're optimizing it in terms of physical strength and mental health, and say what are the kind of
Just
benefits you do
health
get.
and performance.
Health and performance. Let's keep it up. Health and performance. Now, you do realize in this world there are plenty of rich people rich billionaires, tycoons, all these people, and they don't necessarily get to where they are because they were nice, because they treated those who are working on the hierarchy or chain below them nicely. They exploited the crap out of them, and they did all of it. And at the end of the day, we asked them, and they're like, listen, bro, I want a good life for myself. You have no idea the comforts that I enjoy. I have a private jet. I get a massage every single day. My children are happy. They don't have to worry about money in the future. It's all great. Would that justify it?
To them, it would.
But to you?
To me, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't. And why would it not?
Because my subjective moral sense is different from the billionaire's subjective moral sense.
But someone has to be right and someone has to be wrong. How do we decipher that?
You cannot. It's subjective. Right. There is no objective right and wrong.
When it comes in this universe, there isn't. But when it comes to based on what we have built the society, we do, for example, murder of an innocent human being is right or subjective? Is wrong, right, or subjective?
I mean, subjectively speaking, it is wrong. But objectively, there is no right or wrong.
When you said subjectively speaking, it's wrong. Subjectively based on what?
On how we feel, like how I would feel. I wouldn't want to be treated that way. And I get a bad emotional response when I see someone suffer, a human suffer.
Well, let's leave the emotions aside for a moment.
The foundation of morality is emotional.
But we don't have to necessarily use emotions always. We can also use our cognitive abilities and see. Simple thing is this. Why not? See, emotions...
Cognitive abilities in the sense?
In the sense that we take an issue, like I told you, put them in another scenario and see if it makes sense. Like if someone were to say to me...
So let's take the example of murder that you just used. So why is it morally wrong?
Of an innocent human being, I'll be very clear. Murder of an innocent human being.
Yes. Why is it objectively morally wrong?
Sure. Objectively in human society. Not universally objective. There's no objective. I agree with you.
That's what I'm saying. There's no universally objective
But we
morality.
don't live in society based on universal objectivity, right? Then in that case, it's utter pandemonium and chaos here. Like we can do whatever we want.
Let's take...
When we are in society, we have to have rules and laws. Right?
Yes. And those rules and laws are different in different societies.
Yeah, some are right, some are wrong.
Yeah, some are right. Subjectively.
Would you...
How can you say that some are right, some are wrong?
Because I will take those case-by-case scenarios, apply them in different circumstances and see whether they make sense or not.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. You asked me why I thought murder is wrong in society, right? First of all, everything has to... I'll go into the fundamental basics of this philosophy.
Sure.
Everything... How much time do you have? We have some time, okay. Everything, first of all, stems from here because I am just this organism. I have eyes, I have a brain, a nose. I sense and see and perceive this world only through this body. So everything that I understand or know can only take place here. When I look and see, I can see another individual like me. I see fingers there. I notice that when it's cold, I feel cold, but he's like, hey, turn the AC off. It feels cold for me too.
Right.
I find similarities.
Right.
I see that we're alike in many ways. It's not just me who gets hungry at lunchtime, it's you as well. And then I realize, okay, me and this person are not the same individual, but there are enough similarities for me to understand that for the most part, when something bad happens to me, if the same thing were to happen to this individual as well, they too would not want that negative stimulus to happen to them.
That's you, Arvind. There are people who are like, okay, this is me. I care about me. I don't care about this person in front of me.
It's not about
there are
caring.
People like that.
It's not about caring. It's about the fact that you have the pursuit of happiness in you. So do I. You have the desire to live free because we both are not enslaved or encaged or shackled right now. If we were, we both would be trying to break out. We have the desire to be free.
Yeah, it does not mean that we are considerate of others' desires.
What I'm trying to say is that there are enough similarities between us to see that we suffer the same way. We feel joy and happiness. Basically, we are sentient creatures. We are capable of a subjective experience, and we're also capable of feeling pain and suffering.
Yes, and we are. Most people are considerate of their own suffering far more than the suffering of others.
Why are we talking about most people? I'm talking about you.
Yes, I am more considerate of my suffering as compared to the suffering of others.
Completely makes sense because if you are in a scenario where you had to pick yourself over somebody else, pick yourself. Obviously, if I had to pick, for example, my friend...
When we all do that every single day.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, what if you're in a scenario where it doesn't have to be one or the other?
Yeah, if it doesn't have to be one or the other, then I would subjectively say then it's not necessary for me to contribute to another suffering. That would be me. That would be you. That is not everyone. You gave the billionaire's example.
Exactly.
A billionaire does not give a damn.
But that does not mean that they are right. Because if we subjected them to the same kind of suffering that we were, if they were doing to us, you know what they'd say? Stop it. Please, I understand
Because
now.
they care about themselves more than they care about others.
I
That's
know.
why they would say stop.
But the logic still stands. The logic stands.
No, it
that-
does not.
How does it not, Aman? If someone, wait, if someone
I'll tell you, the billionaire does not give a damn about anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Just cares about himself. That is a subjective morality. So when you inflict suffering upon him, he's still caring about himself and not giving a damn about anyone else. He's logically consistent in that regard. Insofar as his subjective moral sense is, it's I, me, myself.
No. My point is, if we now treat him the way he treats others, would he say, okay, yeah, please treat me?
That's because he only cares about himself. So he's consistent.
It doesn't matter what he
And
cares.
even if he's inconsistent.
No. The point is this. He will say, please stop the violence. No one's going to say, like, if someone were to beat somebody up and tie them up.
Because he cares about himself and the violence is being inflicted upon him.
Exactly.
He's not self-inflicting violence upon him.
Exactly. But he's saying that why? Because he does not want that negative
Because he's
stimulus.
selfish and he's a billionaire and he's exploitative and he does not want to be exploited.
Saying that you want to avoid pain does not make you selfish. How does wanting to avoid pain as a living organism make someone selfish? As a human being, actually, we all have the pursuit of happiness. We all want to avoid pain.
No.
Avoiding pain is selfish.
I'm not talking about avoiding pain.
But that's what I'm saying to you.
Being blind to someone else's pain is selfish.
But Aman, that's not what I'm talking about at all.
But that is exactly what we're talking about.
No. He is mistreating, let's say, for example, forget a billionaire, a goon, a rowdy, physically torments people. These people somehow came to power, torment him back. Would he enjoy the torment?
He would not enjoy it.
From a biological perspective, I'm talking.
Yes.
That's
And he's well aware that the people he's tormenting also do not enjoy the torment.
Exactly. But my only point is he does not aware. He does not want the torment to happen to him, right? No.
Yes.
Okay, fine. That's all I'm trying to... Wait, stop there, right? So what's happening is you keep going back to the point that others will not listen. I'm aware of that. Being an activist for veganism right now, promoting this message for 9 years, I'm aware that not everybody wants to listen. That doesn't mean that we stop giving the message. Of course, those who want to take it will take it. Those who don't want to take it will not take it. All I can do is I can preach.
Right.
I can't do anything more. But why do you say that there is no logic here? Every single organism which is sentient wants to avoid pain and suffering, right? So therefore, if we are in a situation where we can take their pain and suffering into consideration and stop it, any empathetic, logical, rational mind will say, let's stop it.
Why?
Because it's unnecessary.
But why? That's arguing in circles.
You would not want that to be done to you.
No. Just because I don't want it to be done to me does not mean that I would not want it to be done to someone else.
Exactly.
It gives me pleasure. That's what the billionaire would say.
But what does Aman say?
My subjective moral values are different from the billionaires.
See, again, jumping the subject right
No,
now.
see, you brought up the billionaire example. What I am helping you understand is different people have a different subjective moral sense. My subjective morality is one. I am actually very considerate of the vegan cause, which is why to this very day, I'm more comfortable consuming fish because I believe they fall lower on the sentient scale as compared to the other animals.
They are vertebrates.
Yes, but they are one of the first evolved.
And yeah, but they do suffocate for like 3 minutes. And I have drowned in the ocean once, and let you know, like
you drowning in the ocean is very different from what a fish experiences, and it's a disputed fact as to whether they feel pain, and if they do feel the same degree of pain that I do. So my whole idea behind including animal products is, what can I consume such that I can still be considerate of the suffering that I'm causing? That's a different argument. What I am trying to help you understand is that there is no objective sense of morality. Everyone has different moral values, and some people care and some people just don't give a damn.
So that means that, but then do you agree? So you are saying there is no right or wrong?
There is a right or wrong based on what I consider personally to be right or wrong.
But that is not how society is designed. If society was, we are allowed to live in society right now, but you also have certain laws. So here's how then I'll define this. Okay, just give me a chance. I'll just paint a picture right now. And of course, I'm not trying to be in any way, rude or anything. Okay. You are not being accountable for your actions when they're pointed out. And you are saying that you have a subjective morality as opposed to, say, a vegan like myself, even though you could consider taking the suffering of those animals into accountability because you probably have the capacity and the financial capacities to consume other kinds of foods to get your nutrition. Maybe not the most optimized, but you can still get your nutrition is what I would say. But when that is brought up, you don't take accountability and you say that your morality is subjective. However, if different human beings around right now in society had subjective morality, society would completely crumble apart. You are just able to get away with the fact that you do this to animals right now, and so you're saying you're just getting away.
No, Arvind. I'm not saying that. We are very different in our subjective moral sense. Most of us agree and disagree, or rather we agree as to what right and wrong is. It's not a 100% agreement. Like right now, both of us have a disagreement. Your subjective moral sense is more considerate towards animals. My subjective moral sense, let me finish, is a little less considerate towards animals, right? A criminal may feel justified in committing a robbery because his subjective moral sense does not like the fact that someone has a lot of something that he does not. His subjective moral sense, at least at that point, is justifying that right according to him. So what I'm basically trying to claim is everyone's subjective moral sense is different. But as a society, as a whole, because we have evolved for so many years, we all have this innate sense of morality which agrees on most things. Like you said, we wouldn't enjoy seeing any human suffer or any animal suffer. Like, for example, all of us here in the studio, if there was an animal suffering here, we would do our absolute best to stop the animal from suffering, because our innate moral sense shares that sensitivity, that emotion for that animal suffering. But everyone's does not. We agree on most things morally as a society, but not on everything.
So again, 2 points I noted here is that...
And that is largely emotional. Our innate moral sense is emotional.
So you said that I would more considerate towards animals and on the fact that things are based on emotions. These are the 2 points I mainly noted in what you said about emotions I want to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm telling you again to not base this on emotions. I'm not basing
what
veganism...
What else will you base it on?
I literally just told you, bro, if I can only see from this perspective, this is all I have. From this perspective, I can see you and me are alike. So therefore, I understand that if this hurts for me, that must hurt for you.
Yeah.
Now, when does one decide because it hurts for me, it should also hurt for him and I should stop that? That comes to just the...
But wouldn't you be able to emotionally relate with that hurt? The reason you're able to be considerate of that hurt is because you can emotionally relate with the fact that that hurts, that pains, and it's uncomfortable. It's an emotional ick that we have.
Or we can look at it biologically. My biology is right now being harmed.
Perfect. Let's do it biologically. Okay, your biology is being harmed. We can disregard the emotions.
Right. And
what
as
next?
My body is being harmed. As a sentient creature, I feel pain and suffering. I don't want it. I want to live to see another day. I don't want to die. These are just qualities I have.
Okay.
And I can see the same quality in you, and I can see the same quality in my fellow human beings. I can see that we all have this. Now, when I look at the animals that we do exploit, I find those exact same traits in them as well.
Right.
Then I begin to ask the question, do I need to do this? And then I realize the answer is no.
So now you see what you've done here. You moved from a descriptive claim to a normative claim.
Could you explain that?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the is-ought problem. Arvind is suffering when someone slaps him on the hand. That is a descriptive. It's a phenomenon. It's happening. Does not mean that Arvind should not suffer. Right? We can't make.
I would think I shouldn't, but
no. But you see, there's a logical bridge which we have to cross from the description that you're suffering to whether you should be suffering or not. Fair enough? How do you connect those bridges? That is the classic is-ought fallacy.
From how I go from I am suffering, I don't want to suffer, to therefore...
Yeah, I am suffering, I don't want to suffer. Arvind is suffering. Should Arvind suffer or not is a separate question altogether. There's no logical connection between the two.
The logical connection comes in the fact that since I know that you can suffer just like me, you're of the same capacity, I need a justification to do that to you.
No, you do not. Why? Why do you need a justification? That's why I said you are going from a descriptive claim to a normative claim.
Because I don't want to die.
Oh, but you're not dying. Someone else is.
Yeah, but they're just like me.
So? But you're not dying. Someone else is.
Yeah, exactly. But they are just like me.
Yeah, and you can say, oh, they're just like me. I don't want them to die. And someone else can say, oh, they're just like me. Oh, to hell with them.
They can. That works where? In the wild, but not in society.
It does work in society. You just use a billion as example. It does work in society.
It does, but it's wrong is what I'm saying.
Why?
It's wrong because we are treating others the way we don't want ourselves to be treated.
But why? Why is that wrong? You are still not able to logically make a case for that.
It's hypocrisy.
Why is hypocrisy a problem?
Because
why is hypocrisy morally wrong? Please tell me.
Morally wrong.
Yes.
It is not morally wrong in the sense that one cannot use it to survive. It is morally wrong inside a society, a human functioning society, a human tribe.
Yeah, and that is something we all gotten together and we've just decided, okay, this is right and this is wrong and these are rules and regulations.
Let's put them to the test now. Let's take each and everything. See, I agree that things have been decided upon for hundreds. For example, something like child marriage. It was there for a long time. People thought it's okay. But today we do say it's wrong. I say it was wrong even back then when they were still doing it.
Yes.
Yes.
We both agree, but there are still people in society who don't consider it wrong to this very day.
And so what do we conclude based on that?
We conclude that that's what they think. And we don't like it. I don't like it. I'm putting my hand up and saying, I do not like child marriage. But the person who does like child marriage, the societies that do still practice child marriage, there is no objective moral way we can convince them that what they're doing is wrong.
Again, by objective, are we talking only about society standards again?
There's nothing known as objective morality.
Yeah,
society's standards are completely
let's not use that word. Let's use societies.
And we do see this variance from society to society, from community to community. There are certain communities which celebrate over hacking animals to death. There are certain communities which celebrate that same animal and absolutely despise the fact that those animals are hacked to death. Right? So there is a difference in those.
What do they base their beliefs upon? A book?
No, it's emotion and whatever it is they are able to relate to and have grown up with. Whatever it is that they've been taught.
If it's religion involved, it's usually based on a book that cannot be questioned.
Whatever it is still part of how they have been born and brought up. There is no absolute right or wrong here. It is.
But you just said that child marriage is absolutely wrong.
For me and for most of us today.
In an ideal society.
For most of us today, in an ideal society 150 years ago, everyone was practicing it.
But in an ideal society, regardless of whether it's 150 years ago or even right now, slavery is always wrong. Murder of an innocent human is always wrong. Are you contesting these statements?
I'm not contesting them. I'm just saying that most of us have this subjective
Why
models.
are we still talking about the most people?
Because that's how right and wrong is established. Whatever the majority find right or wrong is what we then accept. Okay, fine, that's right or wrong. We were born and brought up, and our parents brought us up, and they told us this is right, this is wrong. Stealing is wrong, so don't steal. We may have had an itch to steal, but then we were told it's not nice to steal, and you will be shamed if you do steal, and you will be punished if you do steal. So now we accept, okay, fine, it's not right to steal. If you're in a tribe in Africa, okay, fine, I'll just say Africa. Sorry,
I'll beep that part out. I'll beep it out.
No, it's okay. And there's anything goes over there, they may steal, and they may not think it's wrong. Again, that moral sense is subjective. My entire argument here is that there is no way.
But Aman, how do you build a society then? If say right now there are 100 people in a tribe right now, you are the leader. We have to build a society right now to form rules. On what do you base these rules on?
If I'm the leader, then my subjective moral sense. If you are the leader of the society, you'd stop the culling of animals tomorrow.
Right. But then how do we find out if what we're doing is right or wrong? Do you not agree with this one simple statement?
You mentioned leader.
I mentioned what?
Leader. That's a big hint. Someone takes power and then decides this is what I consider right or wrong. Okay, beef was banned by the party in power. They considered it wrong. The next party that comes may consider it's right.
Right. See, by leader, I don't necessarily mean one individual. What I'm talking about is, let's say the group of the greatest minds get together to make a decision. Okay.
It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be the greatest minds. We often see this in society.
Because we unfortunately don't have that, but if we did, my point is this. We as humans get together and use our cognitive abilities to then decide how society should run. And I am just asking a simple statement right now. Does this statement make sense or not? To you, again, please no more bringing up generally. Let's not do that, okay? Only to you. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Do you think that statement is a valid statement?
It isn't it is not a logically valid statement. Because it is the classic is-ought problem. It is just a value statement which subjectively makes sense to you. There is no logic.
Do you think we should base society on that statement?
I think we should.
You think, even though from an objective perspective it's not logical,
Yes.
you think you should base society on that?
Yeah, I like
why,
the sound of
why, sir? Why should we base society on that?
Because I think that's a fair place to begin.
Why?
Because my subjective moral sense likes it. It's something which I feel that I do not want to live in a society where people are exploited. I wouldn't want to be exploited, and I wouldn't want to be exploited. Wait, let me complete. And I do not derive any pleasure from exploiting others. That is what my subjective moral sense dictates. I keep bringing you back to my subjective moral sense. I have an intuition for my subjective morality. I am well aware that not everyone shares that intuition. And I can understand that.
So let's say again, like the British, what they did a few hundred years ago to us, let's say we both were living in those times and you are facing immense amount of exploitation and injustice against you because that is their subjective perspective to do that to you. Would you rebel?
Of course I would.
Because it subjectively affects you.
Yes.
Yes. And not necessarily because you see
and they would rebel right back because it subjectively affects them.
Right. But
so do you see that there are competing interests in this situation?
Of course, but one side is right and one side is wrong here.
Yeah, but when that depends on which party you are listening to, because some people on that side would say, hey, listen, we are oppressing you for your own benefit. Or we are oppressing you because it brings us more benefit.
But gaslighting doesn't necessarily mean they're right.
Gaslighting.
That if someone says they're oppressing someone, I'm going to kill you for your own benefit.
Okay, forget the gaslighting. They are oppressing us for their own benefit.
They are, yes.
Yes, and they think they're right insofar as doing that.
They do think they're right.
And they did that for many years. And they built a fantastic society as a consequence of that.
That is also one of the consequences, yes. I agree.
Yes, and they're still benefiting as a consequence.
But when you look back in time, do you find what they did to be immoral or moral?
I do. As an Indian, I find it immoral. If I was a Britisher and I read whatever scripture they taught me in their history class, I may not necessarily believe that.
And let's say the descendants of the oppressors right now, they are still around and they think what their ancestors did was right, and you think that's a fair statement for them to make?
If they feel it's right, if that's what their subjective moral sense makes them feel, it will compete with my moral sense, and then we may speak about it. But there are these, that's what happens between vegans and non-vegans, right? You say that it's wrong to kill animals. A non-vegan will sit here and say, yeah, I'm perfectly fine with animals dying. I don't care.
Yeah. So can someone, for example, who's a racist. So can someone who's a misogynist. Anybody can say anything.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. And then, so my question is then, do you leave it?
We all have that innate sense in racism also, by the way.
No, I'm not saying.
I can give you an example since you mentioned racism. If you had to build a team for yourself for the 4x100 meter relay, and all you really knew was that there are 8 participants, 4 of them are African, 4 of them are Indian, who would you pick?
Africans.
Isn't that racism against the Indians?
I mean, just from living on Earth for 33 years, I know who runs faster.
Exactly. And that's true with sexism also, and that is true with speciesism also.
No. There's a difference here. So the racers choose whether they want to run or not. No one's compelling them. No one's going to be shot in the head. No one's going to be forcibly made pregnant.
Other information. With no other information.
Let's
I used a very generous example. If we can use another example here.
But we're going off topic.
Can I use another example?
But I want to make a point. I really want to make a point.
I really want to make another example. If you
can you note it down if it's okay?
Same. I'll finish it in 10 seconds.
Go ahead.
Okay. If this was about racing, if this was, let's say, for an intellectual pursuit, for something academic, and all you knew was that there are a bunch of 4 Africans who can be on your debate team, and then there are 4 Japanese students who can be on your debate team, who would you pick?
Honestly, it depends on the individual because we cannot base intelligence on race.
If all you knew, if you're doing an auction and all you knew is either it's the Japanese or it's the Africans, who do you pick?
Neil deGrasse Tyson is African. Barack Obama is African.
I know, but who would you pick? I'm not talking. Would you pick the Africans for your debate team?
Only if I know who the individuals are.
No, you don't know them. Well, what would you do? See, the reason I asked you, I'm asking you this example is you were perfectly happy answering that question when I brought up the 4x100 meter relay, which is why I said that's a very generous example. What would you do in this case? I'll tell you what I would do. I'd pick the Japs.
Okay.
I'd pick the Japs because I know that there are cognitive differences between the average Jap and the average African. And if I know nothing, then I'll pick the Japanese. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying there is something wrong in what you said, but what I'm saying
but
is
I
that
want to know who you would pick.
I'd flip a coin on this, honestly.
I don't think you would, based on your previous answer.
Well, again, let's not argue here because I feel like I want to make a point. The point is this: you are now comparing running races and quiz competitions.
No, you mentioned racism.
Hold on.
And you're trying to draw the parallel with speciesism.
Yeah, running races and race competitions with slaughterhouses. I'm comparing slavery. I'm comparing actions like domination, subjugation, chaining people up, and all this with animal exploitation. So in that example, let's not take the running race and the quiz. Let's take the example of when I say that you obviously look back as an Indian and you condemn what the British did to us as an Indian. But if there are British people right now who do make the statement saying like, no, my ancestors were right. There were Germans who make the statement saying that no, during World War II, whoever my grandfather supported.
That's happening a lot, by the way, recently.
Were right. Let's say, for example, in America, you have white supremacists who make statements saying that what racism is all right. If that is happening, that's all right.
I'm not saying that's all right by me.
But we can only, but no, will you objectively say it's wrong or it's right? I just want wrong or right here.
For me personally?
In society. As a society, what is it? Is it right or wrong?
Whatever the society deems fit. Because there are multiple societies. For me personally, I can tell you what is right or wrong. But society as large, you take the Germans, for example. The people who used to condemn the Holocaust once upon a time, based on what's happening today in the world, they're the same people who now support it. So you see, people's moral senses change. Their moral intuitions changed based on the facts that they collect. The same, I know a person who was absolutely hell-bent against what Hitler did. That same person supports Hitler today. I still think what Hitler did was wrong. He does not. He has flipped the coin on his subjective moral sense. That happens because our morality at the end of the day, its basis is emotional. You have to accept that. And once we accept that the basis for morality is emotional, we have to also then accept the fact that different people are going to get that emotional sense differently. Some may feel it, some may not. We may agree largely, but we may then disagree on certain issues.
No, I do not agree. I would say that ethics is based on logic. It's not based on emotions. That is what I've been claiming so far.
What is your fundamental premise? Can you derive an argument for me?
Like what? I guess
ethics is based on logic. Like, how can you qualify that statement?
Based on the fact that I am not bringing my emotions into this. I am basing it on the fact that I see this world, I see myself, I see the other, and I understand that just like how will not want to be harmed, the other does not want to be harmed.
Fair.
Therefore, I don't harm.
That therefore is the problem. I don't want to be harmed. The other does not want to be harmed. That jump in logic, therefore, is called the is-ought fallacy. There is an is. He does not want to be harmed, that's one is. I do not want to be harmed is another is. Therefore, he should not be harmed is an ought. Okay? Or therefore, he should be harmed. They are both equivalent statements. I do not want to be harmed. He does not want to be harmed. But if I am getting a benefit by harming him, then I will do so. That's what leaders do in business all the time.
Right. And that's where I'm making...
He has his money. I have my money. But if I were to harm him a bit, I can take his money. It happens in business all the time.
Yeah, but that's where it falls. It's flawed because you don't want that to happen to you.
How is it flawed?
It's hypocrisy.
Look up the is-ought fallacy. You've committed that many times, and I'm just stating that respectfully.
Sure.
You're going from a descriptive claim to a normative claim.
1 second. And just before, how much time do we have left?
We're at 2 hours 30.
Damn. Okay.
And again, I may have raised my voice, but I'm not trying to do this disrespectfully. I'm genuinely trying to convince you about my position, or at least help you understand what my position is.
The is-ought problem refers to a logical fallacy of deriving a prescriptive statement, but ought to be purely from a descriptive statement, what is. A concept popularized by philosopher David Hume. Jumping from facts to morals. It attempts to justify what we should do based on facts about the world, but there is no inherent theoretical connection between facts and the world and ethical facts. saying gun laws cannot be changed because gun rights are in the Constitution is an example of the is-ought fallacy because it attempts to derive a moral political conclusion from a fact.
Try and apply the is-ought fallacy to veganism now, or to any of the examples that we used. You can use AI to do that.
No, I'll think.
I can give you an example. When a person dies in a particular way, let's say a person is hacked to death, they suffer. That is an is. Whether they should suffer or not, or whether I should contribute to that suffering or not, that is an ought. So these are two separate statements. This is undisputable. When you stab
Fair
someone...
enough. Once you show it to me, I'm not going to dispute you.
it is undisputable. If you stab someone, they're obviously going to suffer. Whether I want them to suffer or not is my subjective moral sense.
I guess the truth would be that I have not considered this statement before, this fallacy before. I have not encountered it, nor has anybody put it forward to me. So when it's a fallacy, I will admit that it's wrong. I am not someone who backs up.
I respect that.
But with that being the case, I guess I do not know how to defend my case if I am to take the position that I am basing veganism or ethics and principles solely on facts. I will retract that statement. I'll retract it completely because I guess I cannot base it based on that.
Right.
So with that being the case, the only other option then I guess that you have been stating is that Arvind therefore feels this is bad, therefore it becomes bad. Okay. Then in society, how do we come up with rules and laws then? How on earth do we?
We just went over it. Whatever we as a society collectively feel is right or wrong, we then make rules out of it. Whatever sometimes a leader, in North Korea, it's Kim Jong-un who decides what's right or wrong. He makes rules out of it.
True.
We may not all agree, but in most societies, the bulk of us agree with the bulk of the rules. That's how rules are made.
Right. But that could lead to injustice.
Depending on what someone considers injustice. Like, since you use the example of child marriage, most of us consider that as injustice. Some people do not.
Right. I guess the only honest statement at this point, what I can make is, from a philosophical perspective, since you mentioned this fallacy, I guess I do not know how to proceed further in putting forward my claim. I guess I'll probably have to go back to the drawing board because it's the first time I'm encountering this. I have not encountered this kind of a debate before. And as an open mind, I will have to learn about this, and then I'll have to see whether I can make a claim or not. I am pretty confident, although I can only make the statement after I'm done making the statement, is that I'm pretty sure there are philosophers within our community who could probably have argued, who are watching, who are probably thinking, dude, I wish I was there. I could have made a better point. Maybe you could have. This is the best point I could make. But if you point out my points to be wrong and you can prove them to be wrong, I will agree to them being wrong. I guess...
I truly respect that. The reason I'm offering you these arguments, there are two separate arguments. One's the moral argument. One's the optimization argument. I truly want you to solve these dilemmas for me because you are far more motivated to solve them. Because my innate moral sense wants me to go back to veganism. But I'm unable to do so given the optimization problem chiefly. My subjective moral sense is on the side of veganism.
But then I guess the only statement I can make to you is, again, we have to go back to the number which I said is 4%. And you're still willing to do it despite the 4% being the only, or whatever that number is, that is still reason enough for you to put the animals through the suffering you put them through.
Reason enough for me and for many other people. And for some people, like we had that morality conversation, they don't even need that reason. They just don't care because their subjective moral sense does not allow them to care.
All right. I guess the only right thing for me to do is do my homework. And maybe eventually, if I do find a proper response to this, I guess maybe I can make a video on it. Because at the moment right now, I guess, like I already said, the medical side, I'm not even going to argue with you on that. You are obviously more intelligent than me in that regard. But regarding the philosophical point, I guess I do not know how to bridge the gap at the moment. And I will concede on that.
Thank you so much, Arvind. I truly respect that. That is very big of you.
Yeah. But I will do my homework and see what I can learn.
Please do so, because these are genuine ethical problems which I want a better rebuttal to, so that I can go back to the lifestyle which I left.
Fair
That
enough.
is, honestly, in good faith, that's the reason why I'm bringing these arguments to you, because I know you're very motivated to solve them, and you will have other people who will view these arguments. I'll be the happiest person if you debunk these arguments for me. I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
Fair enough. Like I said, I will go and learn further on this. I'm pretty sure I can. And this is an opportunity for me as well. And those wondering, this video is going up fully. If this can be used, if they, for example, tomorrow we do have, say, reasons to maybe properly debunk the arguments you've made, let this be a learning for people.
Of course.
A learning for me. There's no reason to hide this, and trust me, this will not be hidden. Everything will be shown perfectly. I want to say, Aman,
Thank you so much.
thank you so
Arvind.
much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Sure, and you have given me points to learn on and think about. I appreciate that.
And I really appreciate your invitation, Arvind.
Sure. Thank you
It's
so much.
very
man.
big of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.